Curfew clamped and flights cancelled around Simra Airport in southern Nepal after clash between youths and UML party activists. MCC approves additional funding of $50 million for Nepal to enhance power system and complete key transformation infrastructure. Fire destroys 4 houses and millions worth properties at main market area of Taplejung in Nepal's eastern hilly district. Nepal and the world marks World Toilet Day, highlighting global sanitation crisis. At least 19 killed in Ukraine in one of Russia's deadliest drone and missile strikes on western side. And Kathmandu Gurkhas chasing 148 runs target against Udogostia Royals in a thrilling NPL clash on the third day today. I'm Srituki Singh Tamang and this is NTV World Primetime News coming to you live from Kathmandu at 1900 hours. Across the globe it's 1:15 p.m. in London, 10:15 p.m. in Tokyo and just after midnight in Sydney. Now the news in detail. A political confrontation in southern Nepal has forced authorities to shut down Simra Airport and declare a temporary curfew. The unrest began when Gen Z activists staged a protest against the planned passage of senior UML opposition leaders to the airport area. Members of UML's youth wing moved in to counter the demonstration, leading to clashes. Local officials say the curfew covers a 500-meter radius around the airport and key road sections, banning gatherings, rallies and processions for several hours. Flights have been cancelled and passengers advised to rebook or claim refunds. The UML delegation, including General Secretary Shankar Pokhrel, was en route to address a regional youth awakening event in Parwanipur. Nepal's interim Prime Minister Sushila Karki has begun consultations with political parties as the country prepares for a key national election early next year. Her office says she held discussions today with several parties registered at the Election Commission to outline the interim government's priorities and ongoing work. The temporary administration formed on September 12 under Karki's leadership is tasked mainly with ensuring that the House of Representatives elections scheduled for March 5 are conducted smoothly and credibly. A total of 125 political parties are registered to contest, reflecting Nepal's highly pluralistic political landscape. Officials say the Prime Minister's outreach is aimed at building consensus on electoral management, political stability and a broader transition process as the country moves towards a new democratic mandate. Nepal's government has recommended the issuance of a new ordinance to amend the Constitutional Council Act, a key legal framework that governs appointments to major constitutional bodies. Government spokesperson Jagadish Karel announced the decision after Tuesday's cabinet meeting, saying the amendments would update the council's duties, powers and operational procedures. The cabinet has also approved a visit by Nepal's Minister for Law, Justice and Parliamentary Affairs, Anil Kumar Sinha, to New Delhi on December 23, where he will attend the swearing-in ceremony of India's newly appointed Chief Justice, as well as events marking India's Constitution Day. In another move, the government has recommended a separate ordinance to amend the Special Services Act, which oversees national intelligence and security agencies. Both ordinances now await a formal approval from President Ramchandra Paudel. Nepal and the US government's Millennium Challenge Corporation have announced an additional $15 million grant for the MCC Nepal Compact, bringing the compact's total value to $747 million. Washington will provide $550 million, while Nepal contributes $197 million. Officials say the extra financing will help complete major electricity transmission lines, strengthen Nepal's power system, and expand regional energy trade, seen as crucial for South Asia's growing cross-border power market. The U.S. Embassy in Kathmandu says the compact will also improve grid reliability and open greater opportunities for American companies and energy technologies in Nepal. The initiative reflects what both sides describe as a long-term partnership aimed at boosting economic growth, energy security, and debt-free infrastructure development. This is NTV World, and you're watching Primetime News. Lined up is a short break. In Nepal, residents near the Banchare Dada landfill have once again blocked garbage trucks from Kathmandu Valley, forcing them to turn back and disrupting the capital's waste disposal system. Locals from Nuwakot and Darling districts say the government has failed to honor an earlier 18-point agreement that promised scientific waste management, nighttime disposal, odor control, and measures to prevent toxic leachate from polluting nearby rivers. They had suspended protests in November after assurances from Urban Development Minister Kulman Gising, but claim those commitments were never implemented. Communities report worsening health conditions and rising infections linked to unmanaged waste. Local government representatives have expressed solidarity with the demonstrations, urging Kathmandu to meet its obligations and restore safe, sustainable waste management. In eastern part of the country, a late-night fire has destroyed 4 homes in Demba Bazar of Mika Kola Rural Municipality in Taplejung district. Local officials say the houses, all belonging to members of the Sanwa family, were completely reduced to ashes. Authorities report no casualties, but families have lost all property and belongings, underlining the high vulnerability of rural settlements where firefighting resources are limited and homes are often built closely together. Vice Chair Dondu Lama Sherpa says emergency assessments are underway while police are still gathering details on how the fire started. The incident once again highlights the wider challenge facing Nepal's remote mountain communities, where disasters can escalate quickly and recovery support is slow to reach. Devotees flocked to Kathmandu's Pashupatinath temple today as Nepal observed Bala Chaturdashi, a sacred Hindu ritual dedicated to honoring ancestors. Many spend the night in vigil, lighting traditional lamps before performing the Shatbiz ceremony, which involves scattering a mixture of grains such as rice, barley, sesame, and corn. Ancient belief holds that offering at least 7 types of seeds at sites associated with Lord Shiva aids departed ancestors in attaining spiritual liberation. Experts note that the ritual carries a modern message as well. The variety of seeds highlights biodiversity conservation, connecting communities to nature, cultural heritage, and ancestral memory. Bala Chaturdashi celebrations are taking place not only at Pashupatinath but also at major Shiva shrines across Nepal, including Gokarneshwar, Doleshwar, Baraha Devghat, Panchase, and even at Pashupati temples abroad. The world is marking World Toilet Day, but the UN warns that the global sanitation crisis is deepening, with 3.4 billion people still lacking safely managed toilets. This year's theme, Sanitation in a Changing World, highlights how climate pressures, rapid urbanization, and widening inequality are putting even basic hygiene systems at risk. UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres says the world must accelerate investment in future-ready toilets that are climate-resilient, low-emission, and accessible to all, calling the toilet a mundane marvel essential for public health and human dignity. Established by the World Toilet Organization in 2001 and adopted by the UN in 2013, the day is meant to push governments to treat sanitation as a rights issue, not an afterthought, as the world confronts rising disease risks in a warming planet. From fields to flush toilets, Nepal's sanitation revolution is a story of grit and persistence. Once a country where only 6% of households had basic toilets, Nepal declared itself open defecation free in 2019, with over 95% of its population now having access to sanitation facilities. Yet, decades of progress cannot fully erase the lingering grip of old customs. 4.5% of households still defy the toilet and practice open defecation, highlighting that the battle for hygiene is far from over. A report by Regina Rai.
As World Toilet Day is marked with the slogan, Sanitation in a Changing World, Nepal has a remarkable story to share. The significance of the day roots in its central slogan, "We will always need toilet," since UN officially declared November 19 as World Toilet Day. Nepal was declared open defecation free (ODF) in September 2019, with over 95% of the population having access to basic sanitation facilities. The journey from 1996 saw a remarkable progress from 6% of the population having access to the basic sanitation facilities to 95% in 2019. Nepal's effort for 3 decades was recognized then as one of the top performers globally in improving sanitation coverage. Despite these achievements, key challenges persist, as only 0.5% has been added to the total in the last 6 years.
काठमाडौँ महानगरपालिकासँग यसरी पब्लिकली सर्भिस प्रोभाइड गर्ने गरेको जग्गाको चाहिँ कमी छ। हामीले जानेरी सार्वजनिक रूपमा नागरिकहरूको जम्मा हुने प्रचलन बढी भएको ठाउँमा सामान्यतया र व्यापारिक केन्द्र लगायतका अन्य ठाउँमा जे जस्तो अवस्थामा नागरिकहरू बढी जम्मा हुनुहुन्छ त्यो क्षेत्रमा चाहिँ पब्लिक टोयलेट बनाउने गरेको जग्गा हामीसँग अभाव भएको कारणले गर्दा हामी सहकारीको माध्यमबाट गएको। यता कता हामीलाई पनि गुनासो आउने गरेछ जहाँ पब्लिकली हामी सर्भिस दिन्छौँ भनेर अर्को बिजनेसको माध्यमको रूपमा चाहिँ सर्भिस दिने प्रयोजनको लागि शौचालय र पार्किङको व्यवस्थापन गरिएको हुन्छ। त्यहाँका शौचालय र पार्किङ चाहिँ ठेक्का लगाइएको छ।
Still, 4.5% of households still defecate in open. Not that they do not have access to toilet, but due to age-old practice and superstition, people prefer open defecation against using closed-door facilities.
उपलब्ध भइरा हुँदैन समस्या हुन्छ बाहिरको मान्छेलाई हैन धेरै समस्या आपत्ति नै हुन्छ हैन के गर्ने कतै जाने हैन धेरै गाह्रो हुन्छ।
Raising public awareness to root out the practice is needed to meet the 2030 target of achieving 100% success. The day is also being observed worldwide, focused on ensuring access to safe and sufficient drinking water, ending the practice of the open defecation and expanding sustainable and hygiene sanitation services. While marking the World Toilet Day, the global data of WHO and UNICEF show 3.4 billion people still lack safely managed sanitation and 354 million are still compelled to defecate in the open area. Only through collaborative efforts and innovative approaches, Nepal can achieve universal access to safe and dignified sanitation for all.
In the rolling hills of western Nepal, the district of Gulmi is offering tourists a new way to experience local culture through homestay programs. Visitors can now enjoy traditional Nepali cuisine, observe local crafts, and immerse themselves in the daily lifestyle of the community. The initiative is designed not only to attract tourists but also to boost local income and create employment opportunities. Since the program's launch, the district has seen a noticeable rise in visitors, with families hosting travelers benefiting directly from the influx. Officials say the program helps preserve Gulmi's cultural heritage while providing an authentic experience set against the district's scenic hills and lush landscapes. Tourism experts hope similar initiatives across Nepal will promote sustainable travel that benefits both visitors and local communities. We're going for a short break and we'll come back with updates from the international front. Do stay tuned. At least 20 people, including 2 children, have been killed in a Russian drone and missiles attack on the western Ukrainian city of Ternopil, Ukrainian officials say. 2 apartment blocks were hit and 66 others were wounded, including 16 children, marking one of the deadliest strikes on western Ukraine since the war began in February 2022. Other western regions, including Lviv and Ivano-Frankivsk, were also targeted, while a drone attack hit 3 districts of Kharkiv in the north, wounding more than 30 people. Photos shared online show buildings and vehicles ablaze. Ukraine's energy ministry reported widespread power cuts across several regions, highlighting the growing humanitarian toll of the ongoing conflict. Russia's defense ministry has released images that says show fragments of US-supplied ATACMS missiles, claiming 4 were intercepted over the city of Voronezh, less than 200 kilometers from the Ukrainian border. The ministry also said 2 Ukrainian MLRS launchers were destroyed in retaliation in the Kharkiv region. Ukraine's general staff confirmed it carried out ATACMS strikes on Russian military targets but did not disclose locations. AFP has not independently verified the images or the claims. The developments mark one of the rare public confirmations of long-range missile use in the conflict, raising tensions along the Russia-Ukraine front lines. Poland has announced it will close the Russian consulate in the northern port city of Gdansk, escalating tensions between Warsaw and Moscow. The move follows accusations that Russian agents orchestrated sabotage on a key Dublin-Warsaw train line earlier this week. Foreign Minister Radoslaw Sikorski called the incident an act of state terror, while Moscow denied the claims and accused Poland of Russophobia. In response, Russia has vowed to reduce Poland's diplomatic presence across its territory. Relations between the 2 countries have been tense since Russia's invasion of Ukraine in 2022, with Poland hosting hundreds of thousands of refugees and acting as a major corridor for Western arms to Kiev. Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman received a lavish welcome at the White House on Tuesday with full ceremonial honors, including marching bands, mounted flag bearers, and a military flyover. US President Donald Trump greeted the Crown Prince at the South Portico before the 2 leaders spoke to journalists in the Oval Office. The discussions focused on expanding business ties, boosting investments in technology and artificial intelligence, and supporting broader regional peace efforts. The visit also produced key announcements strengthening defense cooperation, highlighting the strategic importance both Washington and Riyadh place on their long-standing partnership. US President Donald Trump has announced that Saudi Arabia will be designated a major non-NATO ally, highlighting deepening military cooperation between Washington and Riyadh. The announcement came as Trump hosted Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman for a gala dinner at the White House. This designation takes their military cooperation to even greater heights, Trump said, noting that the status is of significant importance to Saudi Arabia. Analysts say the move underscores the strategic partnership between the two nations and reinforces defense ties amid ongoing regional tensions in the Middle East.
Cooperation to even greater heights by formally designating Saudi Arabia as a major non-NATO ally, which is something that is very important to them. And I'm just telling you now for the first time because I wanted to keep a little secret for tonight.
US President Donald Trump has suggested that the United States and Iran will end up probably reaching a deal, speaking at a White House dinner with Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. They'd like very much to make a deal with us, is what they said, and they call us and will end up probably doing that. That's Iran, unquote, Trump said, signaling potential progress in US-Iran negotiations. Analysts say the comments come amid ongoing regional tensions and the backdrop of strengthened US-Saudi relations, highlighting Washington's simultaneous diplomatic engagement with Gulf allies in Tehran.
Thank you. Please.
It's too hot to speak about.
With our beautiful B-2 bombers going in and obliterating a very serious nuclear threat, which would have taken place in about a month from that date. They were ready to go.
To develop the relation deeper in many areas, and we're going to work on it.
We'll go for another short break here. Coming up next, more from the international front. At the COP30 Climate Summit in Belém, Brazil, Canada received the Fossil of the Day award, a tongue-in-cheek critique highlighting countries seen as obstructing climate action. Caroline Brulette, Executive Director of Climate Action, explained that the award is a long-standing civil society tactic to spotlight nations being the best at being the worst during climate negotiations. The recognition comes amid growing pressure on major emitters to commit to stronger climate policies as negotiators grapple with accelerating global warming and the urgent need for emissions reductions.
Is given out each and every day at COP to the country or country that is the best at being the worst, that does the most to do the least. Can we get a boom for all the
Health experts in France are warning of a surge in nitrous oxide or laughing gas poisoning as recreational use becomes increasingly normalized. Kilumi Grisk, a biologist and president of the Prevention Network Protosite, says aggressive marketing and easy access are fueling the trend. He warns of potentially severe medical complications and highlights the lack of reliable tools to measure exposure. Authorities and specialists are now calling for stronger prevention measures and more research to understand and manage the growing public health risk.
Pouvez-vous me réécrire phase gaz dans là-haut?
Et du coup, le ballon blanc il est rempli et après ils le mettent dans leur bouche.
C'est ça, c'est ça.
A Turkish-German family of 4 died in Istanbul last week, and a forensic report now suggests chemical exposure rather than food poisoning may be to blame. The family had fallen ill after eating street food in the Ortaköy district. Investigators say chemicals used to fumigate bed bugs in the hotel may have reached the family's room through a ventilation system. 11 people have been detained in connection with the case. The father and 2 children died last week, followed by the mother, while the hotel has been evacuated and sealed. Authorities say further toxicology and chemical analysis will determine the exact cause of death as the investigation continues. China has rejected claims by the UK's MI5 intelligence service that Beijing attempted to recruit British lawmakers as spies. Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Mao Ning called the allegations baseless conjecture. Meanwhile, China is reportedly planning to suspend imports of Japanese seafood, escalating a diplomatic spat over recent remarks on Taiwan. Analysts say the tensions highlight growing friction in Beijing's relations with both Tokyo and London as the global spotlight remains on Chinese influence and regional security issues. Time now for the sports update. In the ongoing Nepal Premier League at Kirtipur, Kathmandu Gorkhas are chasing a target of 148 runs against Sudur-Paschim Royals. After 5 hours, Kathmandu are 40 for 3, needing 108 runs from 90 balls to secure a second consecutive victory. Captain Karan Casey leads a strong squad, including Rashid Khan, Gerhard Erasmus, and Ben Charlesworth under coach Monty Desai. Sudur-Paschim making the season debut are captained by Nepal vice-captain Deependra Singh Ari with players like Chris Lin and Ishan Pandey, coached by Jagat Tamata. Kathmandu, coming off a win against defending champions Janapur Bulls, seeks a second consecutive victory, while Sudur-Paschim aims for a strong start in its first match of the season. Organised by the Cricket Association of Nepal (CAN), the tournament features 8 teams and began on November 17. Today's clash promises high stakes and competitive action as the league builds momentum. Football fans witnessed a historic night of World Cup qualifiers as Curaçao, Haiti and Panama secured their spots for the 2026 FIFA World Cup, while Scotland ended a 26-year wait to return to the global stage. Curaçao became the smallest nation by population ever to reach a World Cup after a 0-0 draw with Jamaica, finishing unbeaten at the top of Group B. Haiti and Panama also confirmed their places, marking a strong showing for CONCACAF teams. In Europe, Scotland defeated Denmark 4-2 at Hampden Park in Glasgow with a late long-range goal, sealing the first World Cup qualification since 1998. Fans across the country celebrated as the team prepares to learn its group opponents on 5 December. The 2026 tournament will be jointly hosted by Canada, Mexico and the United States. And before we wind up, a quick recap of the headlines. MCC approves additional funding of $50 million for Nepal to enhance power system and complete key transmission infrastructure. Fire destroys 4 houses and millions worth properties at main market area of Taplejung in Nepal's eastern hilly district. Nepal and the world marks World Toilet Day, highlighting global sanitation crisis. At least 19 killed in Ukraine in one of Russia's deadliest drone and missile strikes on western side. And Kathmandu Gorkhas chasing 148 runs target against Sudur-Paschim Royals in a thrilling NPL clash on the 3rd day today. That's all from from NTV World Primetime News for now. Our next bulletin will be at 10 p.m. bringing you the latest updates from Nepal and around the globe. Do join us through our social media. You can also get the latest updates from our official website www.nepaltelevision.com. I'm Smita Gising Tamang. Thank you for joining us. Have a wonderful evening ahead.
How rich are you at this moment?
The total market cap when it for the deal was 200 million. Post money is 280 million. And the opening at that opening at $10, it has gone down and is opened at less. So as the share prices move back and forth, it could come down, it could go up, and so forth.
The Pacific region has had a significant impact on the globe, thanks to its crystal oceans, tropical fruits, distinct customs and culture, and friendly inhabitants. Vanuatu, an island nation out of 30,000 Pacific islands, significantly relies on tourism for its economy, lifestyle, and culture. However, the main threat to Vanuatu's tourism economy is the island's nation's propensity for natural disasters including cyclones, earthquakes, flooding, and volcanic eruptions. Vanuatu is now recovering from Category 4 twin cyclones Judy and Kevin. which destroyed all 83 of its islands and left people without access to water, food, or shelter at night. And Efate is the main island severely damaged. Lelife Resort, a well-known tourist destination on this island, is progressively being rebuilt after being damaged by the cyclones. The resort's sole driver, Jacques Nanette, shares his experience of how he has invested in renewable energy in order to survive these ongoing tragedies.
So historically, I come from an island very similar to Vanuatu called Mauritius. It's a tropical island. I call myself an island boy. I love the islands. I grew up on the reef. I grew up in the islands. So it's my home, you know. And when I came to Vanuatu, we bought this property, which is some 670 acres, and you know, we are very much aware of the climate change and the damage that's being done around the world with everything to do with climate, the world heating up and so on and so forth. So when we came to Vanuatu, we knew that we would be building a resort and that we were very much at risk of doing a considerable amount of damage if we did things in the normal way. You know, we wouldn't be helping the situation. Would be probably would be part of the cause of climate change and instead of being the solution. So we very much wanted to be part of the solution, not part of the problem.
Jacques is aware that the resort and the environment would benefit greatly from depending on renewable resources rather than producing more greenhouse gas emissions that would cause climate change.
So from day one we decided that we'd be very careful about what trees we would cut down, what trees we would not touch at all. We're very much aware of the reef, and we try to do our best to keep the reef to a very good and high standard, and it's not easy because the villagers do a lot of damage to the reef by walking on them and so on and so forth. But we wanted to do our best. So when it actually came to the construction of the resort, then we decided to go solar. We decided to catch our own water, so we've got all the rainwater is being caught in tanks. And our carbon footprint, when you look at our carbon footprint, it's extremely low.
Lelife Resort has a low carbon footprint when compared to other tourist destinations on the island because of how little gas it produces. The resort's daily operations are powered by 12 kilowatt of solar energy throughout the year.
This is the nerve centre, so here we run quite a decent size inverter. 2 regulators, everything's checked through my phone. I can just use my phone to check all the power levels. So I don't have to come here, I just check on my computer or on my phone. So this is a Vitron system. And then we've got, in these cabinets here, we've got all lithium batteries, that's one of them. We've got 9 lithium batteries, 4 on that side, 4 on that side, and 2 here, lithium batteries that actually power the whole, everything that we have. So that's the power center, nerve center of the power. And also, I just want to let you know that the most important thing, or a very, very important thing, is to have a lot of solar panels. Right? Like a lot of people make the mistake of putting big systems in, but they don't have enough solar panels. We have extra solar panels which we're about to put up, because if we have a lot of solar panels, even on a bad day like that, we still capture enough power to charge these batteries. So we're going very strong on solar panels.
The water supply for the resort is derived from 3 different sources, which are all crucial services on which the survival of the resort depends.
Alright, so our watering system here, basically we've got 5 bungalows directly behind you there, the colourful bungalows, and each one of those bungalows catches water, goes underground to that pipe here, and all the water from all the bungalow goes through into these tanks here. So that pipe there is full of water. That's full of water and goes all the way and catches the water. these two tanks actually catch the water for the whole this side of the resort, and we've got 3 systems like that. That's our number 1 system, and we've got another 2 which do exactly the same thing. One in the restaurant and then one near the farmhouse. So we've got 3 electrical roads, 3 watering areas. And one of the reasons why we've done 3 is because if something goes wrong with one, we've got another one.
Making use of the massive land Jacques owns, he cultivates parts of it as subsistence farming for both crops and livestock to supply the resort. However, the resort encounters difficulties due to persistent storms that disrupt the resort's operational supply. Jacques gave an example of the first day incident from Cyclone Judy.
Back area. We've suffered major damage. The only time that I sort of felt a little bit edgy was when I was stuck under a table and I couldn't move, and I knew that I was underwater. The water was completely black, I couldn't see anything at all, and I couldn't get out because my head was hitting the top of the table. And then I thought, for a moment, okay, this can't be very good for my health, fundamentally. And before I had time to really start panicking or anything else, because I was obviously thinking like, yeah, let's follow the trail of the water. The water actually sucked me back out again as it receded back to the sea. It pulled me out. So I spent 14 seconds underwater.
Jacques struggles to provide the resort with a similar amount of produce. It's also difficult when there are sad events like the recent tropical cyclones Judy and Kevin, because the resort is trying to recover by growing more crops for its visitors.
We have to try and manage what we want. Sometimes, we have too many pawpaws. Other times we have too many kubana, but we don't have any green boon, or we don't have, to try and manage the whole process. It's very difficult. The cyclone has been very, very bad for us. It's been probably now almost 6-8 weeks, huh?
Yes.
We haven't got any fruit, so we have absolutely zero fruit, no vegetables, because the cyclone has bulldozed everything. So now we're just starting again to get some fresh fruit. So the management and working out what we need, what we don't need, what we're going to have too much of, that's really important.
The major power and water supply station in Port Vila, UNELCO, does not completely supply electricity to the island of Efate, where Lelife Resort is located. Lelife Resort is in the eastern portion of the island, where most residents rely on solar power systems to receive electricity. Although UNELCO will soon expand its services all around the island, Jacques refuses and is determined about sticking with renewable energy and the resort's own water system so he can manage the provision of water and electricity to his visitors and ensure that they can still use the internet to stay in touch with family and friends who are far away in the event of a disaster in Vanuatu.
Dai Lake in Karnali province is a geographically remote district, yet rich with untapped potential for tourism. Stepping into Dai Lake, celebrated as a treasure trove of Khas art, culture and heritage, brings a unique sense of joy. Journey begins amid its natural beauty, leading us toward Mahabur Rural Municipality. As we leave the mid-hill highway, the terrain becomes challenging, with hilly, muddy roads demanding patience and skill. Long lines of vehicles crawl carefully along the cliffs, reflecting both the difficulty of the route, and the enduring devotion of Mahabudham, many travelers choose to continue on foot, advancing step by step toward their destination. Passing through Channa, Dasarathi, Okharbans, Bhavsaini, Noli, and Unipada, pilgrims ascend the slopes toward Lisni before finally reaching Mahabupatan. Pilgrims from Dailik and nearby districts often arrive late at night, having begun their journey the previous day. The path to Mahabudham is thrilling, adventurous, and breathtaking, made even more dramatic by the steady rain, drifting fog, and steep inclines. Yet the journey itself feels uniquely rewarding. Mahabu Lake or Mahabudham, located within Mahabura municipality, is a remarkable place of natural beauty, religious significance, and cultural heritage. Situated at an altitude of 4,200 meters, the area is adorned with emerald lakes, grazing flocks of sheep and goats, and a sky that dances with Himalayan mist. Every year, during Janai Purnima, a grand fair is held here, drawing thousands of devotees from across the region. Mahabudham's spiritual importance is deeply rooted in the ancient worship of Lord Shiva, revered here as the origin site. From Mahabu Lake, visitors can enjoy magnificent views of Api and Sai Palhimal, and on clear days, even the plains of Bardya. Given its religious importance and natural splendor, Mahabudham holds immense potential as a religious tourism destination. Improving the rough, narrow access roads is essential for supporting this growth. Mahabudham is more than a pilgrimage site. It is a confluence of culture, history, faith, and nature. To truly appreciate its significance, one must visit Mahabu Lake at least once, immerse oneself in its natural beauty, and experience the serene environment that leaves a lasting impression.
प्राकृतिक, धार्मिक तथा सांस्कृतिक रूपमा धनी शैलुङमा तपाईलाई हार्दिक स्वागत छ। यहाँको भौगोलिक इतिहास निकै आश्चर्य लाग्दो छ। प्रथम बुद्ध साङ्गेले स्वर्गबाट झरेर प्रवचन दिनुभएकाले पहिले यस ठाउँलाई साङ्गेलुङ भनिन्थ्यो। पछि अपभ्रंश भएर शैलुङ भनिएको हो। यस ठाउँमा 5औं बुद्ध पद्मस्तम्भ बाएर लामो समय तपस्या गर्नुभएको किंवदन्ती छ। हिन्दू धर्मको कहावत अनुसार पहिला ऋषि मुनिहरू यहाँ आएर तपस्या गर्थे। कलियुग सुरु भएपछि पाप देख्न नपरोस् भनेर प्रत्येक ठाउँमा ऋषिमुनि अलग भए र यी ठाउँमा थुम्का निस्किए। तपाई हामी अहिले यस्ता 108 वटा भन्दा बढी अवलोकन गर्न सक्छौं। यदि तपाई यी थुम्कामा पुग्नुभयो भने त्यहाँबाट नेपालका 60% हिम श्रृङ्खला हेरेर आनन्द लिन सक्नुहुन्छ। महालङ्गुर, रोलबालिङ, अन्नपूर्ण हिम श्रृङ्खलाहरू तपाईलाई हेरेर चम्किनेछन्। शैलुङले सिजन नै पछि आफ्नो रूप फेर्छ। तपाई हिउँदमा आउनुभयो भने हिउँसित खेल्न सक्नुहुन्छ। चैत वैशाखमा आउनुभयो भने गुराँससित मितेरी लगाउन सक्नुहुन्छ। शैलुङमा तपाई 100 भन्दा बढी जडीबुटीको अध्ययन गर्न सक्नुहुन्छ। चौरी डुलाउने प्रचलित ठाउँ पनि हो यो। यदि तपाई साबाखर्क भन्ने ठाउँमा बिहान पुग्नु भयो भने अवश्य चौरी गाई देख्न सक्नुहुन्छ। चौरी गोठमा पोसिलो चौरीको दुध पिउँदाको आनन्द अनि यहाँको छुर्पी तपाई अवश्य बिर्सनुहुन्न। लेकाली भेग भएकाले यहाँको अन्नबालीमा पनि विविधता देख्न सकिन्छ। 6 महिना लगाएर फल्ने यहाँका आलु मुडे लगिन्छ। यहाँबाट प्रचलित मुडेको आलु तपाई कहाँ आइपुग्छ। शैलुङको सांस्कृतिक विविधता पनि तपाईलाई रोचक लाग्ला। यहाँ बहुजातीय समाज छ। तामाङ, मगर, गुरुङ, छेत्री, बाहुन, थामी, नेवार आदिको मिश्रित समाजमा तपाईले मानिसहरू मिलेर गाउँ विकास गरेको देख्न सक्नुहुन्छ। अझै तपाईलाई साहसिक खेल मन पर्छ भने यहाँका गुफाहरूले तपाईलाई पर्खिरहेका छन्। यस्तो रोमाञ्चक ठाउँ काठमाडौँबाट 120 किलोमिटर दूरीमा मात्र छ। तपाई काठमाडौँबाट धुरीखेल, दोलालघाट, खाडी चौर, मुडे हुँदै दोलखाको यो रमणीय स्थल पुग्न सक्नुहुन्छ। खान बस्नका लागि यहाँका आधुनिक होटलहरू र हिँड्न डुल्नका लागि बनाइएका फराकिलो बाटोले तपाईलाई पर्खिरहेका छन्। शैलुङमा तपाईलाई फेरि पनि स्वागत छ।
मुन्डीमा नाना भाइ सिरोगामी, मुन्डीमा नाना भाइ सिरोगामी।
Welcome to NTV World Insight. In recent weeks, Nepali people have witnessed an extraordinary surge of civic energy led by the country's Generation Z, a movement that shook the political establishment, forced the government out, and compelled early elections well ahead of schedule. What began as an expression of dissent on social media quickly became a nationwide demand for accountability, transparency, and a new leadership. As Nepal prepares to head back to the polls, fundamental questions emerge. What do these developments say about the evolution of Nepal's democracy? Are we witnessing a generational shift that could redefine governance, or are we at risk of political instability repeating itself under a new name? To help us unpack these questions, we are joined by someone whose understanding of Nepal's political and constitutional journey runs deep. Dr. Surya Subedi. Dr. Subedi is a professor of international law at the University of Leeds, where he has served since 2004. But his contributions extend far beyond academia. In Nepal, he has played a pivotal role as an advisor and mediator during some of the country's most critical transitions, from helping leaders navigate the end of the decade-long Maoist conflict to contributing to the drafting of a new democratic constitution that laid to the foundation for lasting peace and inclusion. In today's NTV World Insight, we'll explore not just the political turbulence, but also what lies ahead for Nepal's democracy, its peoples, and its place in a changing global dynamic. Professor Subedi, welcome to NTV World Insight.
Thank you so much. I'm very pleased to join you, and thank you for your very generous introduction.
Professor Subedi, to recall this whole thing, a lot happened in a few days in early September. How do you recall the moments and the developments as they unfolded?
Well, I was shocked and saddened by what happened in Nepal during that very crucial week. I think it was largely due to lack of good governance, accountability, and rampant corruption at all levels. The new generation, young people were disillusioned by the political system, the system of governance, and it came with an explosion of the dissatisfaction. That could have been managed well in advance. Nepal has experienced many political changes, but these political changes have not been able to deliver the services people wanted to have delivered. Good governance is a very key element in any system of governance. But in Nepal, whether we talk about the changes in 1944-45, or the changes after the Maoist rebellion in the country, these changes also, the political leaders do not seem to have learned the lessons of history, how to manage the situation in the country, how to deliver services. As you can see in Nepal, the political system itself is good, the constitution is good, the political framework is sound, but the implementation of it has been a problem. And I have interacted with many political leaders. I haven't seen the sincerity and seriousness required on the part of political leadership in Nepal. I think that was a contributing factor to this unfortunate situation in Nepal.
Professor Subedi, you have observed our country's democracy unfold over the course of time. Where do you think we stand at the moment?
Compared to the many constitutions around the globe, the new constitution, Nepal's constitution, is a progressive one, but the problem lies in its implementation. Problem lies in the capacity of the leaders to deliver, because they all were busy in gaining power, remaining in power. I didn't see any vision on the part of any political leaders how the country should move forward. It's a small country, sandwiched between two giants of Asia. Any leadership should be smart. Nepal was lacking that smart leadership. They all were embroiled in power sharing, constant squabble among themselves. Who becomes prime minister, who forms the government? So they have wasted time in negotiating among themselves to remain in power, rather than negotiating how to take the country forward. I think that's the challenge for the country. Lack of a visionary leadership, a wasted opportunity during the previous political changes, and I fear this time also somehow the country may experience the same unfortunate situation again, not demonstrating the vision required for the country, not learning enough lessons from the previous experience and the present experience as well.
Professor Subedi, you rightly mentioned that we definitely are sandwiched between two giants, and there's a lot of geopolitical sensitivity that we need to consider whenever making decisions or any approaches of the country. How do you think this movement places us in the geopolitics of the region?
First of all, many international friends of Nepal took the situation very seriously. Many reports are indicating, even there were some credible reports in the international media, there was some well-planned conspiracy here at work. So what were the Nepali security agencies were doing? If it was, I'm not saying it was, but the reports are there, credible reports, suggesting that it was a pre-planned operation. What were they doing? What was the Home Minister doing? What was the Home Ministry doing? What was the Army was doing? What were the intelligence officers were doing? What were the whole government apparatus was doing? When the country was going through this difficult situation, when the preparations were there, well-planned operation, what happened here? What happened to the whole entire machinery of the government? That's the question people are asking nationally, internationally at the moment.
Professor Subedi, there were a lot of speculations. There are, in fact, a lot of speculations at the moment as well. Growing speculations, in fact, that there were international influences, international actors that were in play during the movement, like you mentioned just now as well, during the formation of the interim government as well. And the influence is likely to stay as well. How do you view this scenario? Is it true? What can the public expect?
Well, it is difficult to say whether foreign powers or foreign elements were involved in it, because much of the evidence that could be analyzed, forensic analysis could be carried out, has been lost. No action was taken in the immediate aftermath.
Professor Subedi, we also have a commission that's investigating the whole scenario. What do you think of it?
Government at the moment doesn't have enough powers to change something fundamental in the country. As you know, in very many countries, in the aftermath of a revolution, in the aftermath of a major political agitation, if a new government is formed, that government will have a mandate to bring about some fundamental change. Here, the main mandate of the government is to hold the next parliament election in about 6 months' time. Is that the only mandate? Is that enough for the government to implement the wishes, the demands of the young generation, so-called Gen Z movement? So my concern at the moment is that the government should have more wide-ranging powers. One possibility could be, I am not saying that it should be done, but one possibility could be to reinstating parliament and enacting new laws as a matter of urgency, and then empower the government to put in place fundamental changes that are required in the country. So as far as I can see, overhauling of the system without cancelling the constitution, without denying the existence of the constitution, a fundamental change in the political culture is required.
Professor Subedi, you just mentioned that reinstating the parliament could be one of the options, but wouldn't that negate the sentiment of the public?
Rather than dissolving parliament overnight, what I would have liked to see, the president calling for an emergency session of parliament, tabling before parliament fundamental laws required to change the political future of the country, and then dissolving parliament after that one. Now we have done emergency legislation needed for the government. Now the country goes to the polls. That should have been the case. But dissolving parliament without enacting new laws doesn't give enough powers to the current government to bring about the changes that the Gen Z people have been demanding. So we may be losing this opportunity once again. So much destruction has taken place in Nepal. So many young people have made the demand, lost their lives. How do you address the situation? By taking immediate measures. So 6 months parliamentary election, the new government, we don't know who will form the government, again a coalition government. So all these things may fizzle out eventually. The country has made so much sacrifice, so much destruction has taken place. What is the final result? What is going to be the outcome? I'm not very hopeful of that outcome.
Professor Subedi, when you say the government lacks power, what do you exactly mean by it? Could you please elaborate more on it? In what ways we can enforce the government, if we can?
First of all, you should have powers to constitute a very powerful anti-corruption body. If I recall correctly, whatever I have monitored from here, the main demand was the lack of good governance, lack of the ability of the government to provide services to the people, lack of the ability of the government to control corruption. So that was their main demand. Their demand, as far as I am aware, was not to dissolve parliament, but the restructuring of the people who are in positions of power at the moment. That should have been done. What we have seen now, one government has gone out, another government has come into existence. Gen Z population did not certainly wish to see just new faces in the government. They wanted to see new drastic measures taken by the government. As you say in English, you hit the iron when it is hot, but the iron is getting colder, and then the time we may be losing time to bring about the power of the people should have been expressed through parliament. Gen Z people could have surrounded parliament, forced parliamentarians to enact emergency laws to address the demands of the Gen Z population before it was dissolved. Now there is no parliament, there is a caretaker government basically with one main mandate of holding the elections. How do you address the demands of the NG people in the meantime? 6 months is a long time in the history of a country. Even then, parliament may come into existence, but we don't know what sort of government it will be. Configuration of parliament, we don't know. So it may fizzle out. That's my worry.
Professor Subedi, now preparations are in full swing for the election. There are a lot of concerns and worries as well, if that will happen at all. How do you see this scenario unfolding?
I think elections should take place, and I'm confident it will take place. I have confidence in the Prime Minister of the interim government. I was one of those who condemned publicly. I think I was one of the very first person. I used the word Chapamar Shaili. She was being impeached by parliament. I said that was unacceptable. I supported her then. I support her now. But my worry is that does she have enough powers? Does she have enough people around her to implement here and now rather than waiting for 6 months?
A lot of leaders, political leaders and also public faces that many people trusted have been questioned. There have been accusations, speculations about influences from international forces. Who can the public trust at this moment if we are to go into election and if we are to vote for the people that can actually rule and deliver good governance?
Well, at the moment, we have to have trust and confidence in the government we have in the country, no matter how it came into existence and what its powers are currently. But again, we have to have trust and confidence in the process. So it's a good decision to hold parliamentary election. But is the midterm election itself a solution to the problem in the country? It was not Gen Z only. We have been saying all along, intellectuals in Nepal, outside of Nepal, we have been saying, hey, there is no good governance. Corruption is rampant at all levels in the government. You should do something. We have been saying this one. What I see in Nepal, lack of seriousness on the part of political leaders, lack of vision, lack of sincerity. All politics, they have become political parties without principles.
I want to stretch on what you are saying. If you could give the picture to our viewers, what the roadmap could likely look like.
Okay, the roadmap should be constituting immediately a powerful commission, empowered by the law of the land, number one, to investigate the corrupt activities of politicians, civil servants, anybody, everybody who has exercised public authority, number one. That was number one demand of the Gen Z population, if I understand correctly. Holding them to account. So many scandals have taken place. So many corruption. People know what has gone on in society. But saying the next parliament will do it, will they do it? The same politicians may come back to parliament. Because do Gen Z have a party? Do they have the capacity to go to the polls saying that we are a new party, vote for us? Remains to be seen. I would like to see that one. But they are young people, they haven't got much experience in politics. So in the absence of a major independent political party coming to the picture, the same political parties will contest the election. The same political faces may come back to parliament, the repeat of the same situation. Habits die hard. These people who have been used to exploiting the natural resources of the country for their own benefit, what is the guarantee that they will not do it? Therefore, a powerful commission now, number one, internal political democracy within political parties is very important. As you know, one of the main sources of corruption is taking money to hand out the tickets for parliamentary elections under the table. That's number two, I will say. Number three, empowering the anti-corruption body of the Durupayog Nivaran Ayog. It has not been powerful. It has gone after small fishes. It has not gone after the big fishes in the country.
There are a lot of questions about the federal structure of the country that was envisioned by the Constitution itself and also the election system. What do you think of it?
Well, I have my own personal views, but so far as I am concerned, the country cannot write and rewrite the Constitution all the time. So the Constitution is basically fine. People may have reservations with the federal structure, but federal structure is needed to decentralize power. But the decentralization has not taken place. That's the problem. It was created with a view to decentralizing power from Kathmandu, from Singhadarbar, from the hands of the Prime Minister, which has not happened to the degree required, number one. Number two, during the period leading up to the writing of the new Constitution, I was, many of you may know, actively campaigning for a presidential system of government, directly elected president with executive power. I lobbied for it, I published articles for it, then I championed the idea because I thought political stability could be achieved by doing so. As you mentioned, alluded to, you indicated some foreign influence could be in the recent riots. What is the guarantee that if you give powers to one individual, that person turns out to be corrupt? That person doesn't work in the best interest of the country. Then the country's future will still be at stake. Therefore, at least parliamentary system of government, people can have a collective sort of a discussion. They can work as a check on each other. Therefore, now I am not in favor of, on the basis of the experience of the so-called new political party, the leadership they have, I don't have enough confidence to say that the country should go for a directly elected presidential system of government. Therefore, we must find solutions under the existing constitution. There is no problem with the constitution. So, no point in throwing this constitution in the gutter and then again trying to do a new constitution. It will again waste another 10 years of time of Nepal, which Nepal cannot afford to do so. So let's strengthen the institution, work within the constitution.
Around the same time as Nepal's Gen Z movement, there were similar developments elsewhere as well. What happened in Nepal has been seen as a fuel for similar movements in the Southeast Asian region. Nepal's flag was also spotted during a protest in Georgia. How do you view this phenomenon? Do you think this generational discontent has triggered a new wave of unrest across the world?
Yes, indeed. Of course, Nepal's movement was preceded by the movement in Sri Lanka, in Bangladesh. We have seen, they were not called Gen Z, but they were young people, students in Bangladesh, and other younger people in Sri Lanka as well. We have seen what has happened elsewhere. There was a repeat pattern in Nepal. Of course, in Nepal, much younger people came out in the street, but again, the momentum had begun already, and now that momentum has spread in various parts of the world, even in Indonesia, although it didn't go very far. Now in Morocco, we can see in different parts of the world, the younger people who are well educated, who are patriotic, who want to bring about reform in the country, who want to see democracy work in the country, have been agitating, demonstrating against the autocratic governments, number one, or so-called democratic but corrupt. That was the problem in Sri Lanka. That was the problem in Bangladesh. They were democratic but thoroughly corrupt. In Nepal, the same thing, political establishment thoroughly corrupt. Therefore, the movement will continue in some form in other parts of the world.
How do you think international partners, including the UK, play a constructive role in supporting Nepal's next phase of youth-led development?
Well, I think international community has a tremendous goodwill for Nepal. I have experience in my own life, living in the UK, working at 2-3 universities, and internationally, wherever I go, Nepali people are liked generally internationally. They see very unfortunate situation. What has happened in Nepal? Afno gunama afele bancharo hanni. काम भयो. That's what has happened in Nepal. People have shot themselves in their foot in Nepal by the destruction, not the Gen Z movement, but the destruction. People are simply surprised. How can the people burn down their own institutions, their own national treasures? What has happened in Nepal? Surprise. Nevertheless, if there is a government capable of rebuilding trust in the international community of Nepal, they will extend their hand of cooperation. No matter what has happened, just as you know, in Gaza, massive destruction has taken place, but the now international community is coming together, how they can reconstruct Gaza. The same thing in Nepal, but there has to be a visionary leadership, there has to be a visionary foreign minister, a towering figure, an intellectual figure, who can command the respect of the national and international community.
Going forward, based on your experience, of course, with international law and diplomacy, what lessons do you think Nepal can draw from other successful democracies?
Well, I think Nepal has democracy and human rights in paper, but in practice, there are so many areas to be addressed. The new constitution was adopted 10 years ago. Not enough laws have been enacted. So, because the government, as I said, just simply focusing on remaining in power, 3 political leaders, a musical chair, rotating power among themselves, squabbling. Remember the documents that came out alleging each other of severe incompetence of each other. So the country has wasted a lot of energy. Therefore, human rights, rule of law, democracy has not been as strong in practice as it should have been in Nepal. That's my frustration. We had wasted 10 years of time, which was a golden opportunity. After the new constitution was adopted, there was a momentum. Wow, let's do something for the country. Let's come together. Let's unite. But what happened? Squabbling, constant squabbling for power. Bringing down the existing government, forming a new government. The opportunity was wasted even after the 1990 changes, 45 salis ko andolan, 1990 changes. There was no visionary leader in power. They could not unite the country. Those countries which became democratic in Eastern European countries, along with Nepal at the same time, accelerated their economic development. They became members eventually of a rich club of European countries called the European Union. Their economy had advanced so much that they were able to gain membership of such a powerful club. Where has Nepal gone? Backwards. Where has Nepal gone? Not able to harness the natural resources of the country, not able to harness the goodwill of the international community, not able to harness the patriotic enthusiasm of the people within the country. So I hope the changes that have taken place in Nepal will not meet the same fate again.
Professor Subedi, you mentioned about what role the Gen Zs can play, but apart from them, what role should in fact the other Nepali nationals now play at this moment to ensure that we keep the changes for good?
Well, I think supporting the present government and again, making it more powerful and arguing for restructuring of the state apparatuses, internal democracy in the country, encouraging a rebellion in all major political parties. A rebellion is necessary in all political parties. Throw away the incompetent leadership that has brought this country to this state. So there's a lot of work to be done, building public opinion with a view to achieving achieving democratic culture in the country, achieving good governance in the country, and stamping out corruption.
Professor Subedi, thank you so much for being on NTV World Insights. Thank you for your valuable contributions.
Thank you so much for allowing me to share my thoughts with your readership, and I wish you all the best and thank you again. And nice to be with you.
Thank you very much, and thank you to our viewers as well for staying with us here on NTV World Insight. You can follow us on our social media pages and on YouTube as well for latest informations. You can also go to our website, nepaltelevision.com. That's it from me for now. Until next time.
The gorgeous temple of Changu Narayan holds greater significance among the 4 Narayan temples located in different cardinal points of Kathmandu Valley. It is situated on a magnificent hilltop about 16 kilometers northeast of Kathmandu in the Bhaktapur district. Changu Narayan is known for its majestic temple complex, full of magnificent artworks in stone, metal, and wood. As an important heritage site of archaeological and cultural importance, with a history of nearly 1700 years, Changu Narayan was designated as UNESCO World Heritage Site in October 1979. By then, it also received the attention of international observers abroad. One of the first substantial ethnographic evidences of Nepalese history was found in the temple premises consecrated by Lichavi King Mandev, dating back to 464 AD. It shows that Changu Narayan was already developed as an important sacred place long before his time. There are various myths and legends regarding the origin of Changu Narayan. As detailed in the Vansavalis, Changu had already been established as a sacred site around 3rd century AD. The Ichangu inscription of Vijaya Kamdev, dated 1199 AD, informs that the temple was built by the king Haridatta Varma, happened to be 9th generations before Mandev. The time of Haridatta Varma is estimated as early as 325 AD.
यो काठमाडौँ उपत्यका विश्व सम्पदा स्थल चाहिँ 1979 मा नेपालको तर्फबाट विश्व सम्पदाको रूपमा चाहिँ सूचीकृत भएको थियो र त्यसमा चाहिँ अपरेसनल गाइडलाइन अब भनौं न नेपालले 1972 को चाहिँ वर्ल्ड हेरिटेज कन्भेन्सन भन्ने जुन कन्भेन्सन थियो त्यो कन्भेन्सनमा चाहिँ साइन गरिसकेपछि 78 मा साइन गर्यो र 76 मा साइन गरेर 78 मा चाहिँ नेपालले पठाएको थियो र त्यतिखेर पठाउँदाखेरि नेपालले यो सांस्कृतिक सम्पदाको तर्फबाट काठमाडौँ उपत्यका विश्व सम्पदा स्थल र प्राकृतिकको तर्फबाट चाहिँ सगरमाथा राष्ट्रिय निकुञ्जलाई चाहिँ यो सूचीमा सूचीकरण गर्नको लागि पठाएको थियो। त्यो मध्ये चाहिँ अपरेसनल गाइडलाइनको अनुसार क्राइटेरिया 3, 4 र 6 जुन चाहिँ एकदमै असाध्यै विश्वव्यापी महत्त्व भएको भने जुन आउटस्ट्यान्डिङ युनिभर्सल भ्याल्यू भनेर भन्छौँ, हामीले यो 3 वटा क्राइटेरियाको आधारमा नेपाल सरकारले तत्कालीन अवस्थामा चाङ्गु नारायण सहित बाँकी 6 वटा सम्मिलित भएको समावेश भएको चाहिँ काठमाडौँ उपत्यका विश्व सम्पदा स्थल भनेर चाहिँ सूचीकरण को लागि प्रस्ताव गरेको थियो 78 मा र 79 को सेसनले चाहिँ वर्ल्ड हेरिटेज कमिटीको सेसन भनेको बैठक ले चाहिँ यसलाई सूचीकृत गर्ने चाहिँ निर्णय गरेको थियो। त्यसैले यो एज ए होल 7 वटा 7 in 1 वर्ल्ड हेरिटेज प्रपर्टी भनेर भन्छौँ हामी। यो काठमाडौँ उपत्यका विश्व सम्पदा स्थल चाहिँ त्यसरी चाहिँ विश्व सम्पदा सूचीमा चाहिँ सूचीकरण भएको थियो।
चाङ्गु भनेको चाहिँ एउटा हामीसँग एकदम पुरानो प्राचीन स्थल पनि हो त्यहाँ हैन। त्यहाँ चाहिँ धेरैवटा अभिलेखहरू छ, जम्मी त्यहाँको अभिलेखहरू सम्पूर्ण चाङ्गुसँग सम्बन्धित अभिलेखहरू, चाङ्गुमा भएका अभिलेखहरू, भण्डारभित्र भएका सबै अभिलेख हेर्ने हो भने करिब हामीसँग 360 वटा अभिलेखहरू छ चाङ्गु एरियामा मात्रै, त्योसँग रिलेटेड अभिलेखहरू हैन। र त्यसमध्ये अहिलेसम्म प्राप्त सबभन्दा पुरानो अभिलेख भनेको मानदेवको 386 को अभिलेख हो हैन। त्यो भनेको राजा मानदेवले आफ्नो विजयपछि जब सामन्तहरू सबैलाई कब्जा गरिसकेपछि राखेको अभिलेख हो। यो अभिलेख चाहिँ एउटा स्तम्भमा छ त्यहाँ र त्यो अभिलेखमा चाहिँ लिच्छवी लिपिमा लेखिएको छ र संस्कृत भाषामा लेखिएको छ, एकदम प्रौढ संस्कृत भाषामा लेखिएको छ, राम्रो एकदम शुद्ध भाषामा लेखिएको छ। र त्यसमा चाहिँ उसले राजा मानदेवले जब पूर्व र पश्चिमको सामन्तहरूलाई दबाइसकेपछि उसले विजय स्तम्भको रूपमा त्यसलाई स्थापना गरेको हो। र यो अभिलेखलाई चाहिँ अहिलेसम्म हामीसँग धेरै विवरण, हामीसँग हुन त लिच्छवी कालका त्योभन्दा पुराना अभिलेखहरू पनि छन् होइन। र जस्तै दोस्रो शताब्दीको जय वर्माको सम्मत 160 को अभिलेख छ हामीसँग, अनि त्यसपछि 381 को अभिलेखहरू पनि छन्। तर त्यसमा चाहिँ विवरण एकदम छोटो छोटोमा छ। तर यो अभिलेख भनेको सम्पूर्ण विवरण लिच्छवी वंशको, जस्तै मानदेवले आफ्नो वंश समेत 3 पुस्ता समेत उल्लेख गरेर लेखेको र आफ्नो आमाको समेत नाम उल्लेख गरेर राखेको अभिलेख भएकोले त्यो बेलाको सिनेरीहरू, त्यो बेलाको इतिहास, धर्म, संस्कृतिहरू धेरै भएको अभिलेखमा भएको हुनाले यो अभिलेख चाहिँ विशेष महत्त्वपूर्ण छ। नेपालकै सन्दर्भमा पनि यो अभिलेख चाहिँ विशेष महत्त्वपूर्ण छ।
चाँगुनारायण क्षेत्रमा भएका मन्दिर या मन्दिर वरिपरिका अन्य स्मारक र पुरातात्विक वस्तुहरूको हामीले संरक्षण सम्वर्धनलाई हाई प्रायोरिटी दिएर चाहिँ काम अगाडि बढाएका छौँ। हाम्रो भक्तपुरमा स्मारक संरक्षण तथा दरबार हेरचाह कार्यालय अफिस छ, युनिट अफिस छ। त्यो युनिट अफिसको कामै के हो भने भक्तपुर वा विश्व सम्पदा स्थल चाँगुनारायण समेतको हाम्रो जुन कार्यक्षेत्र छ, हाम्रो मापदण्ड छ, त्यो मापदण्ड कार्यक्षेत्र अनुसार सञ्चालन, व्यवस्थापन, संरक्षण गर्नु नै यसको मुख्य कार्य हो। र त्यो अफिस, युनिट अफिसबाट ती कार्यहरू त्यहाँ भइरहेको छ। त्यही कारणले नै हामीलाई युनेस्कोले भूकम्प पछिको पुनर्निर्माण या भूकम्प पछिको स्ट्याटस क्लियर गर्ने सन्दर्भमा त्यो अफिस र स्वयं पुरातत्व विभागले त्यसको संरक्षण कार्य अगाडि बढाएको अवस्था छ।
मानदेवले राखेको गरुड स्तम्भ पछि गएर कालान्तरमा विभिन्न कारणले त्यो भाँच्यो। भाँचेपछि त्यो स्तम्भमाथि रहेको गरुड चाहिँ नि भुइँमा झर्यो। जुन तपाईँले गरुड देख्नुहुन्छ चाँगुनारायणको ठ्याक्कै मन्दिर अगाडि हात जोडेर बसेको मानव आकार छ, अनि पछाडि प्वाख बनाइया छ होइन। त्यसले पखेटाहरूले त्यो गरुड चाहिँ नि सम्भवतया मानदेवले नै चढाएको भन्ने मानिन्छ। त्यो कलामा डेफिनेटली हामीले के मथुरा शैलीको देख्छौँ। त्यो गरुडको जुङ्गा पनि बनाएको देख्नुहुन्छ, माथि एउटा सानो डोरीले बाँधेर क्लिपहरू लगाएको एउटा मुकुटको जस्तै किसिमका त्यो देखिन्छ। सम्भवतया त्यो मानदेवकै प्रतिमूर्तिको रूपमा त्यही उसको पर्सनालिटी अनुसार, उसको जिउडाल अनुसार गरुड बनाइएको हो भन्ने एक थरीको भनाइ छ।
बासी योजना होइन, यो 61 वर्षपछि भएको यो भगवान् नारायणले पुजारी नियुक्ति गरेको हुनाले त्यो वंश परम्परागत अहिले हामी चाहिँ यहाँ पुजारी बनिएका छौँ र त्यही वंशमा मात्रै पूजा गर्नुपर्ने भएको हुनाले यहाँका पुजारीले आफ्नो बुवा आमा बित्नु भए पनि जुठो बार्न पाइन्न। यो अविच्छिन्न रूपमा चाहिँ पूजा चलाउनुपर्छ। त्यो चलन अहिलेसम्म चलिआएको छ। मन्दिर 4:30-5 बजे खुल्सिया हुन्छ। भणेलहरूले नित्य पूजाको लागि छुट्टै ढाका छ, नारायण भन्छौँ हामी। त्यहाँबाट चोखपानी ल्याएर त्यो चोखपानी ल्याएर पनि एउटा कठिन छ। चोखपानी ल्याएर कोही बिसाएर फाट्न नहुने होइन, अनि कसैले छुनु नहुने, नाङ्गो खुट्टा यहाँसम्म हिँडेर आउनुपर्ने। अनि यहाँ ल्याएर मन्दिर खोलिसकेपछि अनि चोखपानी भित्र भित्याएर त्यहाँ पूजा सामान तयार भइसकेपछि करिब 8-9 बजेतिर प्रायः भगवान्को पूजा हुन्छ। पूजा षोडशोपचारले हुन्छ। अनि त्यो पूजा पश्चात चाहिँ हामीले खिर रेमिटी पनि चलाउनु पर्ने हुन्छ। पहिला मन्दिर बन्द हुन्थ्यो, अब त बन्द हुन छोड्यो। अहिले त प्रायः दिनभरि खोल्छ र साँझ चाहिँ नित्य आरती पनि हुन्छ र यो पूजा आरती गर्दा बाजा बजाउने चलन पनि छ।
नेपालकालीन मूर्तिकलाको विशेषता चाहिँ नि के छ भने मास कलरको हुन्छ, मास रङको ब्ल्याक बेसल्ट भन्छ, त्यो ढुङ्गाको क्वालिटी सारो ढुङ्गाबाट बनाएको हुन्छ र त्यसमा मास रङको चाहिँ नि लेपन गरेको देखिन्छ। त्यसपछि मूर्ति बनाइन्थ्यो, किनभने मूर्तिको त्यो खुट्टाको हातको कापा भित्र पनि त्यो पलिसिङ गरेको देखिन्छ। त्यो सम्भवतः पहिला ढुङ्गामा नगरिकन त्यसरी त भित्रभित्र गर्न त गाह्रो हुन्छ पलिसिङ गर्न। त्यसकारण उनीहरूले घोटेर ढुङ्गालाई चाहिँ नि पहिला बनाएपछि अनि त्यसपछि त्यो ढुङ्गालाई घोटेर तयार पारेपछि अनि उनीहरूले मूर्ति कुद्या हुनुपर्छ। स्ट्रङ्गेस्ट टेक्नोलोजी उनीहरूले युज गरेको देखिन्छ।
अंशु वर्माको अभिलेख छ, जुन चाहिँ गरुड अहिलेको तपाईँले त्यहाँ चाङ्गुमा जानुभयो भने ठ्याक्क त्यसको गरुडको पछाडि एउटा अंशु वर्मा र शिवदेवको अभिलेख पनि छ। त्यो अभिलेख पनि लिच्छविकालको सामाजिक व्यवस्था अर्थव्यवस्थाहरू बुझ्नको लागि चाहिँ महत्त्वपूर्ण अभिलेख हो। र अर्को महत्त्वपूर्ण अभिलेख भनेको गरुडको पाटपीठमा जुन हाम्रो लिच्छविकालको चाङ्गु नारायणको पाटपीठमा रहेको जुन अभिलेख छ नि त्यसमा चाहिँ त्यो चाङ्गु नारायणको जुन मूर्ति स्थापना गरेको त्यसको जीर्णोद्धार गरेको सम्बन्धी चाहिँ त्यो अभिलेखमा चाहिँ उल्लेख छ। अभिलेखहरू अध्ययन गर्ने, तिनीहरूको विश्लेषण गर्ने, तिनीहरूको लिप्यान्तर गर्ने, प्रतिलिपि उतार गर्ने, तिनीहरूको सङ्कलन गर्ने कामहरू अभिलेखालयले गर्छ। र जस अनुसार हामीले त्यहाँको अभिलेखहरू लिप्यान्तर गरेर अथवा उतार गरेर ल्याएर तिनीहरूको प्रतिलिपि चाहिँ यहाँ सुरक्षित गरिसकेको छ। पुरै लिप्यान्तर गरेर भाषान्तर गरेर पब्लिस पनि भइसकेको छ त्यो जुन चाङ्गुको अभिलेख छ।
रामको वर्ण हैन, अनि यो जस्तै नारायणको वर्ण के हो, यहाँ बाजेहरू हुनुहुन्छ उहाँहरूसँग बसेर सल्लाह गरेर अनि वर्ण अनुसारको हामीले चाहिँ यो कलर गर्ने हो। अब जस्तै कि यो चाहिँ श्रीराम उहाँको चाहिँ यो अलि निलो आकाशी वर्णको हुन्छ। अब माथि भयो नरसिंह सेतो वर्णको हो। यतापट्टि चाहिँ वामन वर्ण भयो, वामन चाहिँ हाम्रो स्किन कलर अरेन्ज कलरको हो। यो सबै त्यहाँ चाहिँ वर्णहरू हुन्छ अनि त्यही अनुसारले हामीले गर्ने हो। कुन्नाको चाहिँ हरियो कलरको कोरा। अब घोराको सिम किन राखेको भन्दा घोरा चाहिँ यो उड्ने घोरा, नेवार भाषाबाट बोसल भन्छ, बलियो पनि। उसले यो मन्दिरको पुरा यो छत हुन्छ नि उसको भारै उसले बोकेको छ कुन्नाकुमा 4 कुनाले। त्यही भएर उसको त्यो अनुहारको आकृति पनि अलि रिसाएको जस्तो, अलि उसलाई गाह्रो भएको जस्तो फिल गरेर नै बनाएको छ, राम्रो नै बनाएको छ। सबभन्दा पहिला चाङ्गु नारायण पछि शेष नारायण पछि विसुङ्गु नारायण पछि तपाईँको इचुङ्गु नारायण राखेको छ लाइन नै। बिचमा चाहिँ तपाईँको यमराजको चाहिँ तुलाल राखेको छ यहाँ ठ्याक्कै दक्षिणतिर फर्काएर। यो यमराजको चाहिँ हटबाट अरू मन्दिरमा चाहिँ पाइँदैन, यहाँ चाहिँ राखिएको छ। अनि पछि पश्चिममा चाहिँ तपाईँको वरुणको राखेको छ। वरुण भनेपछि नागको राजा। मत्स्य नारायण, वराह, नरसिंह लाइनै मिलाएर राखिएको छ। अनि तपाईँ फेरि दक्षिणबाट अब तपाईँ उत्तर दिशा जानुभयो भने वामनको तपाईँले टुनाल हेर्नुहोस् है, 3वटा खुट्टा हालेको छ। जुन चित्र छ यो कलाकारले बनाएको काठको, त्यो कहीँ पनि पाउँदैन, यही चाङ्गुनारायणमा पाउँछ। कृष्णको छ, रामको, परशुरामको लाइनै मूर्तिहरू राखेको छ। पूर्व दिशामा जानुभयो भने भगवान् बुद्धको मूर्ति त्यो स्वरूपमा त्यो चित्रमा जुन राखेको छ ठ्याक्कै अनुहार चाहिँ नारायण विष्णुकै राखेको छ। स्तुपा समाधि रहेको छ, तपाईँले त्यहाँ हेर्नुहुन्छ। त्यो चाहिँ हाम्रो के भन्छ नारायणजी चाहिँ हाम्रो यो बुद्ध भगवानको स्वरूपमा राखेको छ।
हाम्रो चाङ्गु नारायण भने विष्णु धर्म अथवा वैष्णव धर्मको मुख्य थलो हो भनेपछि त्यसलाई चाहिँ फेरि बुद्धिस्टहरूले चाहिँ तपाईँको भने लोकेश्वरको रूपमा पूजा गर्छन् त्यहाँ होइन। भनेपछि बुद्धिस्ट र हिन्दूको एउटा चाहिँ संयोजन, धार्मिक संयोजनको साथसाथै त्यहाँबाट आउने त्यो कलशलाई वा चाहिँ नारायणको प्रतीकात्मक स्वरूपलाई हनुमान ढोका ल्याउने र चाहिँ कुमारी समेत दर्शन गर्ने र कुमारीको दर्शन जो त्यहाँ आफ्नै किसिमको विधि परम्परा छ र त्यो कलशको दर्शन गर्नलाई त्यहाँका अरू अब के अरे धर्मावलम्बीहरू जो चाहिँ त्यो धर्ममा आस्था राख्नुहुन्छ उहाँहरू आएर चाहिँ धर्म दर्शनका कुराहरू अथवा त्यो कलशको दर्शन गर्ने परम्परा अहिले पनि छ। यसले चाहिँ एकातिर भक्तपुर र कान्तिपुरको एउटा सम्बन्धको राम्रो सम्बन्धको स्थापना गर्छ भनेपछि पछि तपाईँको पृथ्वीनारायण शाहले काठमाडौँ अट्याक गरेर नयाँ राज्य अथवा नेपाल राज्य स्थापना गर्ने सन्दर्भमा पृथ्वीनारायण शाहले यहाँ आएका चलन मैले अघि भनेको थिएँ प्रथा धर्मलाई कुनै पनि उनले चाहिँ हस्तक्षेप गरेनन्, सबैलाई स्वीकारे र एज ए स्टेट हेड रूपमा उनको वासस्थान त्यहाँ भएको नाताले चाहे मल्ल राजाहरूले पनि त्यहीबाट सुरु गरे, त्यसपछि पृथ्वीनारायण शाहले पनि त्यही त्यो कामलाई कन्टिन्यू दिएको अवस्था पाइन्छ।
यहाँको मुख्य यात्रा भनेको वैशाखमा हुन्छ र यात्रा यहाँको लागि होइन कि यो चाहिँ पारी काठमाडौँ जिल्लाका दाछी, ब्रह्मखेल, थली, इन्द्रायणी, बदरबास आदि ठाउँ पनि यो यात्रा चल्छ। हामी यहाँबाट कलश बोकेर खाली पेट हिँडेर हामी जमल पुग्छौँ, काठमाडौँ जमल पुग्छौँ अनि जमलसम्म चाहिँ यहाँको बाजा जान्छन् अनि जमल पुगेपछि यहाँको बाजा फर्किन्छ। त्यहाँ गुरुजीको पल्टनले हामीलाई स्वागत गर्छ। त्यहाँबाट पूजा सामान्य पूजा भएपछि हामी चाहिँ गुरुजीको पल्टन सँगसँगै हामी चाहिँ हनुमानढोका पुग्छौँ अनि त्यहाँ जीवित कुमारीको आगमन हुन्छ अनि उहाँको उपस्थितिमा हामीले दशरथको स्वागत गरेर दरबारभित्र भित्राइन्छ र त्यहाँको पूजा पश्चात चाहिँ अनि राष्ट्र प्रमुखका हामी दर्शन गर्नु पहिला राजघाट जान्छौँ, अहिले राष्ट्रपतिका जान्छौँ।
कला वस्तु प्रविधिसँग गाँसिएको हाम्रो इन्टेन्जिबल पार्ट हो, अभौतिक पार्ट हो, त्यसको पूजा व्यवस्था धर्म आस्था जात्रा जो अविच्छिन्न रूपले चलिआएका छन् त्यसको मूल्य मान्यता अहिले पनि त्यहाँका जनता या समग्र ती धर्मावलम्बीहरूसित अविच्छिन्नता रूपले चलिआएको छ र त्यो इन्टिग्रिटी त्यो अथेन्टिसिटी त्यो चाहिँ त्यसको समग्रमा त्यसको आउटस्ट्यान्डिङ युनिभर्सल भ्यालीलाई हामीले कायम गर्न सक्या हुनाले युनेस्कोले त्यसलाई विश्व सम्पदा सूचीमा राखेको। विश्व सम्पदा सूचीमा राख्नुको तात्पर्य पनि त्यो हो कि ती विषय वस्तु चाहिँ राष्ट्रिय मात्र नभएर अन्तर्राष्ट्रिय महत्त्वका विषयवस्तु बनुन्।
चाँगु नारायणमा एउटा विश्व रूपको मूर्ति छ। त्यो मूर्तिको तल पाताल लोक देखाइएको छ, नागकन्याहरू छन्। त्यसपछि पृथ्वीले दुईटा काँधमा स्त्री रूपमा पृथ्वीलाई प्रतिनिधित्व गरेका छ। काँधमा दुईटा पाइताला राखेर भगवान् विष्णु उभिया छन्। त्योभन्दा माथि विभिन्न दिक्पालहरू, अन्य सूर्य चन्द्र, अझ माथि गएपछि आकाश, यिनीहरू सबैको प्रतिनिधित्व हुने गरी देवगणहरू ऋषिगणहरू पनि देखिन्छ र अर्जुनले चाहिँ हात जोडेर बसेको दृश्य पनि त्यसमा कुँदिएको छ। त्यो मूर्ति साउथ इस्ट एसियामै मलाई जहाँसम्म लाग्छ दुर्लभ मूर्ति हो। देब्रेतिरको चाहिँ नि केही पार्टहरू भाँच्चिएको छ, होइन भने मूर्ति धेरै नै राम्रो छ। त्यो पछि कसरी भाँच्यो भन्ने थाहा हुन सकेको छैन। मुखबाट त्यहाँ मूर्तिमा हेर्नुभयो भने एउटा मान्छे निस्किया देख्नुहुन्छ, त्यो द्याट इज कल्ड ब्राह्मण। अनि बाहुबाट पाखुराबाट चाहिँ नि क्षेत्रीय निस्केको देख्नुहुन्छ। तिघ्राबाट चाहिँ नि त्यसै गरी मान्छे सानो सानो मान्छेको मूर्ति बनाएको छ, त्यो निस्किया देख्नुहुन्छ जो वैश्य हो। वैश्यपछि पाइतालामा चाहिँ नि खुट्टामा हेर्नुभयो भने त्यहाँ शूद्र निस्केको भनिन्छ। त्यसरी एउटा समाजको स्वरूपलाई पनि उसले चित्रण गरेका छ। उनी सुतेका छन्। विश्वरूपको त्यो मूर्ति निकै नै उत्कृष्ट मानिन्छ र अब त्यसलाई कसैले 7औं शताब्दी भनिन्छन्, कसैले 8औं, मूर्तिमा लेखिया छैन, तर 8औं शताब्दीतिरको हुनसक्छ भन्ने अनुमान चाहिँ नै हामीले गरेका छौँ। विश्वरूपकै अगाडिपट्टि त्रिविक्रम वामनको मूर्ति पाउनुहुन्छ। त्यो त्रिविक्रम वामन भनेको खुट्टा उचालेर एउटा आकाशतिर फर्काएको, एउटा चाहिँ पातालतिर फर्काएको मूर्ति पाउनुहुन्छ, जसमा हामीले अनुमान गर्दाखेरि लगभग हाराहारी 7औं 8औं शताब्दीकै 8औं शताब्दीतिरकै हुनुपर्छ भन्ने एउटा अनुमान चाहिँ गर्छौँ। 8औं शताब्दीतिरकै नरसिंहको मूर्ति पनि त्यहाँ राखेको छ। त्यो पनि सेम ब्ल्याक बासल्टको हो, तर त्यहाँ चाहिँ नि पलिसिङ पनि तपाईँको मास कलरको पलिस गरेर देख्नुहुन्छ। त्यहाँ यो तीनवटा मूर्ति विशेष उल्लेखनीय छन् भने चौथो अर्को मूर्ति पनि त्यहाँ उल्लेखनीय छ, जसलाई गरुड नारायण भनिन्छ। अब भनाइ के छ भने अब भित्र मूर्ति त हेर्न दिन्नन् है, तर त्यहाँभित्र पनि गरुडमा चढेको नारायणकै मूर्ति हो, गरुड नारायण नै हो। त्यस्तै किसिमको गरुडमा विष्णु चढेको एउटा मूर्ति छ, जो हाम्रो 10 रुपियाँको नोटमा पनि तपाईँले छापेको देख्नुहुन्छ। त्यसमा के देखाइएको छ भने विष्णुले अनि वाहनमा चढेर उडिरहेको अवस्थामा देखाउने यो प्रचलन धेरै पहिलादेखि नै छ। र यिनीहरू यो मूर्ति पनि त्यही पलिसिङको छ। अनि शास्त्रमा जस्तो शरीर बयान गरेको छ त्यस्तै, अनि हात खुट्टाहरू जस्तै अङ्ग मिलेको भन्छौँ क्या हामी। त्यो जति लामो हात हुनुपर्ने हो त्यति लामो हात छ, जति लामो खुट्टा हुनुपर्ने त्यस्तो मान्छेको खुट्टा कत्रो हुन्छ उसले त नाइटोदेखि नै नापेर मूर्तिहरू बनाउने, माथिल्लो भाग तल्लो भाग कति छ त्यो अनुसारको समायोजन गरेका छ। त्यसैले लिच्छवीकालीन मूर्तिहरूमा यो विशेषता चाहिँ नि उत्कृष्ट किसिमको छ।
ट्रेडिसनल जुन हामी परम्परागत रूपमा चाहिँ असाध्यै धनी भनेर जुन भन्छौँ, अमूर्त सम्पदा, अभौतिक सम्पदा, त्यो भौतिक र अभौतिक सम्पदा बिचको चाहिँ जुन एउटा लिभिङ नेचर छ, लिभिङनेस भनेर जुन हामी चाहिँ यो जीवन्त सम्पदा भन्छौँ, त्यो जीवन्त सम्पदा मध्यकालदेखि अहिलेसम्म चाहिँ कन्टिन्यू छ भनेर चाहिँ, र त्यो भएकोले गर्दाखेरि संसारमा यस्तो चिज कहीँ पनि छैन, यहाँ मात्रै छ। त्यसैले यसलाई चाहिँ संसारभरिकै मान्छेको चाहिँ सम्पत्ति हो, सम्पदा हो भनेर हामीले चाहिँ दर्ता गऱ्यौँ। भनेपछि सूचीकरण गऱ्यौँ भनेपछि त्यही रूपमा चाहिँ हामीले बचाइराख्नु चाहिँ सबभन्दा ठुलो चाहिँ दायित्व हो।
चाङ्गु नारायणको मन्दिर चाहिँ मान्यवको पालामा त्यो अभिलेख एकदम स्थापना भइसकेको, योभन्दा धेरै अगाडि स्थापना भइसकेको र लोकप्रिय र अब विशेष महत्त्व भएको मन्दिर भनेर हामी बुझ्छौँ। किनभने राजा आफैले विजय स्तम्भ राख्ने विशेष महत्त्वको साथ चाहिँ राजा मान्यवले त्यो ठाउँमा अभिलेख राख्नु भनेको त्यो ठाउँमा पहिलेदेखि नै भव्य मन्दिर थियो, त्यहाँ मन्दिर थियो र यो विशेष राजकीय महत्त्वको स्थान थियो, त्यो मन्दिर थियो भनेर बुझिन्छ। त्यो हेर्दा पनि त्यो मन्दिर राजा मान्यवभन्दा धेरै अगाडि बनिसकेको भन्ने बुझिन्छ। वास्तवमा त्यो स्तम्भ अहिलेको ठाउँ चाहिँ ओरिजिनल होइन, यतापट्टि तपाईँले मन्दिरको अगाडि हेऱ्यो भने सानो खण्डित अभिलेख छ, त्यहाँ भएको हुनुपर्छ त्यो अभिलेख। तर विभिन्न अब चट्याङ अथवा विशेष कारणले त्यो थलियो र त्यो अभिलेख भाँच्यो। तर त्यति भाँचिसकेपछि पनि त्यो ढुङ्गाको अभिलेख त सुरक्षित भयो, धेरै पार्ट त सुरक्षित छ अहिले। त्यो सुरक्षित भएको कारणले त्यो अभिलेख इट्सेल्फ सुरक्षित अहिलेको अवस्थामा छ र मान्छेले अभिलेख त्यहाँको स्थानीय लोकलले पनि त्यो अभिलेखको महत्त्व बुझेकोले त्यसलाई चाहिँ क्षति हुने सम्भावना कम छ। त्यस्ता अभिलेखहरू चाहिँ हामीले यदि सुरक्षा गर्न सक्यौँ भने हाम्रो इतिहास चाहिँ कालान्तरसम्म जोड्न सक्छ। हामीले थाहा पायौँ, हाम्रा पछिका पुस्तालाई पनि त्यो हामी बचाइदिनुपर्छ।
चाङ्गु नारायण चाहिँ नि वान अफ द बेस्ट हाम्रो चाहिँ नेपालको चाहिँ नि आर्ट, आर्किटेक्चर, हिस्ट्रीको लागि इम्पोर्टेन्ट साइट हो र कल्चरको लागि इम्पोर्टेन्ट साइट हो।
During Lichvi period, Changu Narayan was also known as Dola Shikhar, which refers to a mount or hill in the shape of Doli. Gopal Raj Vansavali and the Changu inscription also mention it as Changu, a Newari word that refers to swing like hill. But the evidences show that this particular place was popular as Changu Narayan from the earliest time, and the same name exists in the society till present. This two-storied temple is of basic Nepalese design with possible emphasis given to masterful ornamentation. The temple may have passed through series of restoration. The present structure was probably constructed in the 17th century. Changu Narayan is regarded as one of the masterpieces of Nepalese temple architecture. The older elements have been incorporated during the restorations.
Welcome to the studios of NTV World in Kathmandu, public service broadcasting PSB Nepal's new initiative to make Nepal more visible and audible to the global audience. Welcome on board.
This is NTV World, facts that speak, insights that matter.
Telling the stories of a changing planet. NTV World, Nepal's perspective to the world.
Exploring the heartbeat of Nepali creativity. This is NTV World.
The power of story shaped by technology. NTV World.
Unearthing Nepal's hidden heritage. Discovering the timeless Nepal.
Telling stories that endure across centuries. Where culture breathes, stories bloom.
When the world moves, we make a sense of it.
NTV World. Taste of Nepal.
Every recipe, every flavor tells the story.
Journalism in the digital age. Fast, focused, verified.
Stories hold power. Stories reflecting life. Stories of the hinterlands.
Reporting for public service broadcasting.
Reporting for NTV World.
This is NTV World. Welcome to News Hour.
This is NTV World. Welcome to Primetime News.
One story at a time.
Crossing borders, connecting voices. Where Nepal meets the world in dialogue. This is NTV World. Nepal's perspective to the world.
Voices that connect Nepal to the world, bringing perspective, region and relevance to every story. NTV World, Nepal's perspective to the world.
Stand by. Mic is on.
3, 2, 1, cue.
We are NTV World.
रामदीप मेरो गाउँको नाम धर्म संस्कृति सुन्दरता र शिक्षाको एउटा सुन्दर सम्मिश्रण पाइन्छ यहाँ जुन अरु कतै बिरलै पाइन्छ।
म नाम परेको श्रेष्ठी
I'm Bhavesh Usar. I'm from Bhutan. Now I'm living in Ramdi. I'm very happy to learn.
अति महत्त्वपूर्ण र पवित्र मानिने काली गण्डकी नदीको शीतल काखमा बसेको छ रामदी। स्याङ्जा र पाल्पा जिल्लाको केन्द्रमा पर्ने हुनाले रामदीबाट यी दुई जिल्लाका मनमोहक पहाडहरू र ससाना सुन्दर बस्तीहरू देख्न सकिन्छ। शालिग्राम नाम गरेको चम्किलो ढुङ्गा पाइने संसारकै एकमात्र काली गण्डकी नदीमा अंगिरा र वशिष्ठ नदीहरू मिसिदा बन्ने त्रिवेणीको विशेष महत्त्व छ। यस त्रिवेणीमा हरिबोधिनी एकादशी, शिवरात्रि र वैशाख संक्रान्तिका पावन अवसरमा लाग्ने विशेष मेलाहरूमा सामेल हुन पाइन्छ। रामदीमा काली गण्डकी नदी अद्भुत तरिकाले दक्षिणबाट उत्तर भई बहने उत्तर वाहिनी भएको हुँदा यस क्षेत्रको छुट्टै धार्मिक र आध्यात्मिक महत्त्व रहेको जानकारहरू बताउँछन्। यो क्षेत्र प्रसिद्ध ऋषिहरू वशिष्ठ, मार्कण्डेय, कपिलदेव र योगी नरहरिनाथको पवित्र तपोभूमि हो। योगी नरहरिनाथले 2042 सालमा गायत्री मन्त्रबाट विश्व शान्तिका लागि कोटी हवन गरेको यो ऐतिहासिक स्थलमा प्रसिद्ध ऋषि कपिलले सिद्धि प्राप्त गरेको सुनसिद्ध गुफाले आज पनि धार्मिक तथा रमणीय पर्यटकहरूको मन लोभ्याइरहेको छ। यस गुफाको सुरुङ साँघुरो भएकाले र अन्त्य पत्ता नलागेकाले यो थप आकर्षणको केन्द्र बनेको छ।
यहाँ एक स्टेप हुन्छ, त्यहाँ अर्को स्टेप हुन्छ, त्यहाँ तल्लो अझै अर्को ठुलो स्टेप 1500 जना अट्ने ठाउँ छ तल।
रामदीमा थुप्रै पर्यटकीय स्थलहरू छन्। यहाँ रहेका गायत्री मन्दिर, राधाकृष्ण मन्दिर, शिव मन्दिर आदि धार्मिक आस्थाका केन्द्रहरू हुन्। सँगै रहेको गौशालामा केही समय टहल्दा पर्यटकहरूलाई बेग्लै आनन्दको अनुभूति हुन्छ। रामदीको प्रमुख आकर्षण त्यहाँ रहेको राम नदी आश्रम हो। यो आश्रममा आध्यात्म, संस्कार, कला, शिक्षा र नयाँ पुस्ता बीचको आनन्दमय सहकार्य देख्न सकिन्छ। संस्कृत भाषामा दखल राखेका नयाँ पुस्ताको योग भजन कीर्तन मात्र नभई अंग्रेजी भाषामा पकड राख्ने र पुराना भजनदेखि नयाँ गीतहरूको गायनले आश्रम घुम्न जाने हर कोहीलाई चकित र मन्त्रमुग्ध बनाइदिन्छ। यसरी प्रकृतिको कोख र नदीहरूको काखमा बसेको रामदीमा हर कोहीलाई आकर्षित र अचम्मित गर्ने धेरै अद्भुत कुराहरू रहेका छन्।
How rich are you at this moment?
The total market cap when it for the deal was 200 million. Post money is 280 million. And the opening at that opening at $10, it has gone down and is opened at less. So as the share prices move back and forth, you know, it could come down, it could go up, and so forth.
Severe flooding around Kenya's Lake Naivasha has displaced more than 7,000 people as rising waters continue to breach long-established boundaries. The lake has surged up to 1.7 kilometers inland, submerging schools, homes, churches, and even a police station. Entire neighborhoods in Kyoto have been swallowed, with residents wading through waist-deep water and makeshift rafts being used to evacuate children. Authorities say wildlife is also under threat, with hippos moving closer to human settlements. Experts point to both increased rainfall influenced by climate change and tectonic shifts along the Rift Valley as the major drivers behind the unusual rise in lake levels, a phenomenon also affecting nearby Rift Valley lakes. The crisis underscores East Africa's growing struggle with climate-linked flooding, which has displaced hundreds of thousands across the region this year.
At COP30, the European Union has mounted a robust defense of its Carbon Border Adjustment Mechanism (CBAM), arguing it is a vital tool to curb carbon leakage by putting a price on imports from countries with weaker climate policies. European Union has insisted that pricing carbon is something that we should pursue, rejecting criticism from nations such as China and India, which view the border tax as a trade barrier.
As many as you will know, with our own new contribution to 2035.
Do you feel that it's now the best solution to progress in implementation?
In parallel, the EU is pushing for a global carbon market alliance together with Brazil to encourage more nations to adopt carbon pricing systems and direct revenues towards green technologies. To ease the burden on smaller importers, EU institutions recently agreed to simplify CBAM rules. Imports up to 50 tons per importer per year will now be exempted, meaning roughly 90% of importers won't be directly subjected to the mechanism. Despite the simplification, the EU maintains its climate ambition under the revised rules, but not everyone is on board. India has strongly criticized CBAM at COP30, calling it a unilateral move that undermines global cooperation under the UN climate framework.
The United Kingdom has issued a stark warning to Moscow after a Russian military vessel reportedly entered British waters off the coast of Scotland. UK Defence Secretary John Healey confirmed that the Russian ship Yantar has been operating on the edge of the country's territorial waters for the last few weeks, and even directed lasers at British pilots, an act viewed as a highly provocative. Tensions between Russia and Western unions have risen sharply since the start of the Ukraine war, and the presence of a specialized Russian vessel so close to the UK has sparked concern. The Yantar is known for its advanced surveillance and subsea capabilities, including equipment believed to be capable of monitoring undersea cables. Haley issued a direct warning to Russian President Vladimir Putin, saying simply, "We are ready if the ship moves further south." While incidents involving Russian vessels near NATO countries' waters are not uncommon, the UK says it is taking this breach seriously, framing it as yet another test of Western resolve as Europe prepares for a potentially harsh winter of geopolitical uncertainty.
The 19th Dubai Air Show has opened, bringing together more than 1,500 exhibitors from 115 countries. This year's edition features 440 first-time participants and over 200 aircraft in static and flying displays. This year's show, titled "The Future is Here," features a record 200-plus aircraft across flying and static displays, including UAVs and China's Comac C919, making its Middle East debut. The event also includes 490 military and civilian delegations, 21 national pavilions, with Morocco participating for the first time.
The Miss Universe pageant has plunged into controversy days before the final event in Thailand after two judges resigned from the 8-member panel. Lebanese-French musician Kamer Harfouch claimed that an impromptu jury had pre-selected 30 finalists without the official judges' knowledge. French football manager Claude Makélélé also resigned, citing personal reasons. Miss Universe organizers have denied the allegations, saying no external group has been authorized to select finalists. They clarified that Horfaus may have confused the pageant with a separate program called Beyond the Crown, which has its own independent committee. The resignations follow earlier backlash after Thailand's pageant director publicly criticized Miss Mexico, prompting several contestants to walk out of the promotional event. The Miss Universe organization has faced heightened scrutiny in recent years as transparency and global representation become increasingly central to major pageants.
The Hong Kong Palace Museum launched an exhibition featuring 250 artifacts from Egyptian institutions, including cat mummies, coffins, and stone statues. The exhibition, which will run for 9.5 months, also features some newly discovered artifacts from the Saqqara archaeological site. The Hong Kong Palace Museum is launching Ancient Egypt Unveiled Treasures from Egyptian Museums, a landmark exhibition running from 20th November to 31st August 2026. The show features 250 artifacts from 7 major Egyptian institutions, including statues, gold jewelry, animal mummies, and painted coffins, many exhibited outside Egypt for the first time. It also highlights recent discoveries from Saqqara, including anthropoid coffins and statues of deities. The exhibition will be complemented by multimedia experiences, public tours, and more than 140 themed merchandise items, including plus charms inspired by Egyptian motifs. The Nemrut caldera, honored with the European Destinations of Excellence Award for its natural beauty and ecological value, has received the season's first snowfall. The caldera, home to the world's second largest cratered lake at an altitude of 2,250 meters, transformed into a stunning white landscape after the recent snow. Drone footage captured postcard-worthy views as the fresh snow, drifting fog, and the lake's deep blue waters came together in the same frame. The wintry transformation drew heavy weekend interest, with large numbers of visitors arriving to witness the caldera's unique scenery. Located in eastern Turkey, Nemrut caldera was formed thousands of years ago following a massive volcanic eruption. Today, it stands as one of the region's most remarkable geological formations, featuring hot and cold lakes, diverse wildlife, and panoramic vistas that attract nature lovers throughout the year. A ceremonial contest titled The Art of Turkmen Embroidery, Our National Heritage, was held in Ashgabat at the Center of Public Organizations of Turkmenistan. The event was dedicated to the inclusion of Turkmen embroidery art in the UNESCO's representative list of the intangible cultural heritage of humanity. The contest, organized to preserve, promote globally, and pass down the national heritage to future generations, was held at a high level by the Central Council of Women's Union of Turkmenistan, the National Center of Trade Unions, and the Secretariat of the National Commission of Turkmenistan for UNESCO. Talented women and girls from all regions of the country took part in the contest, demonstrating the subtle craftsmanship created by the dedication and heartfelt warmth of the people. The participants showcased their skills and talents across 3 rounds in accordance with the competition rules. Throughout the competition, the jury fairly evaluated the participants' performances. Winners and all active participants were awarded certificates of honor and valuable gifts from the organizers. Winners and all active participants were awarded certificates of honor and valuable gifts from the organizers.
जुन कलाहरू प्रस्तुत गर्नुभएको छ त्यसमा चाहिँ उहाँहरूले आफ्नो भावनाहरू चाहिँ व्यक्त गर्नुभएको मैले चाहिँ पाएँ। जुन कलरहरू रङहरू उहाँहरूले प्रयोग गर्नुभएको छ त्यस्तो लाग्यो मलाई चाहिँ। हाम्रो नेपालतर्फबाट चाहिँ कति चाहिँ पारम्परिक कलाहरू रहेछन् जस धेरै राम्रो छ।
This exhibition is about the 70 years relationship of the Nepal and the China, where I have presented my work over here. The work indicates about the relationship between the two countries, and that this is titled also is togetherness, which means like two people can complete everything, without two they cannot. So it's all about the feelings, desires, and then the whatever we are doing, we need other help. So individually we can do this. So individually my work representing the printmaking part is a surface print over here, and then this exhibition is along with the other Chinese artists and the Nepalese artists. I'm proud to be here to present my work in this exhibition. It's like it's depend on the time, depend on the mood. All people say that we all are the very artists are very moody person, but my work is took like I set in the mind first, and then when I created, so it depends. In this work, like I did the serious work in the Mera Amako Thaili, my mother's pouch, where I grown up with my mother's pouch, where I feel like if she had money, I feel so happy, like I can demand her, like I needed toffee, something else. But there also what I found, like in that pouch, we have two ribbons. Without that ribbon, two ribbons, it cannot open. So there is a symbolically togetherness. So this is all about the togetherness. There were many artists, but the Chinese artists came and see my work, but one of the professor, and then they said like, when I explained about my work, then they said, they haven't think about that one, but they like it much.
Actually, we learn from each other, I think. This is why we exhibited, we organized this program together. This is what our goal was, to collaborate with them, and our mission to collaborate with different organizations, different nations. We learn many things together between two nations artists, such as the artistic art equipments and the reference of the art and how they take a reference to apply their paintings. We found that they have mainly influenced by the natures, and mostly in this exhibition the Nepalese artists have expressed their feelings in the paintings through their color and brushes. Mostly Nepalese paintings are creative. They have applied their creative ideas in the painting, in the canvas, with vibrant colors and lines.
I feel very honored to be the part of this exhibition entitled Silk Road Echoes Art Unites Art. And in this painting, in the traditional part, you can see lots of the genres of artworks like Poba painting, Thangka painting, and the Mithila painting also. And being a Poba artist, I would like to say something about the Poba painting. As Poba is basically the religious Newar painting, which has been practiced in Kathmandu Valley since more than 1,000 years. So we have the history of the long time, and since that period also the Nepalese artists were used to invite to the Tibet and other parts of the China to create their artworks, and this is how the art has played the very important role in strengthening the relationship between these two countries, Nepal and China. And Poba, as said earlier, it's a religious painting. It was used for the meditational purpose and also for archiving the various rituals and the various ceremonies that happened in that time. But nowadays, it's not only limited for this religious practice. The people are also appreciating the aesthetic value inherent in this form of art, and Chinese people, they are also very interested in this art form and have started to collect these artworks. So as it has a very long history, you can see the lots of the stylistic transformations also. In this exhibition also, you can see in Pova painting also, you can see lots of the transformations like the black and white, the monochromic style, colored painting, and also which has been influenced from the European style. This painting, there is the 8 auspicious symbols, and it's very important in the Buddhist philosophy. So though it's based on the Buddhism, it's not only the religious thing. We can also take this philosophy for as an art of living, which can make our life even more better and can also make the society and the other people beneficial from that philosophy. Just like, for example, here it's known as the endless knot. So here in this part you can see you can't see the starting or the ending point of the knot, and it's going upward and downward and again upward and downward. And what does it symbolizes in our life also? We have to face lots of the ups and downs, and again maybe ups and downs in every stages of life. So it teaches us that in every stages we have to stay calm, because these upwards and downward parts, or good or bad things, is a part of life, and we have to take everything very normally. And similarly, we do have the here you can see it's the conch shell, and we all know that the conch shell has a very melodious sound, and it symbolizes that in every aspect, whether it be in the business or in every field we are in, we have to speak very melodiously so that people will like us, and we can do very much better in our business or maybe anything. So this is how these symbols are created to make our life better, and it needn't to be the religious only. We can use this philosophy in our entrepreneurial journey, in any field, like in our business, in our interested field or anything. As Pova painting is the religious painting, in the ancient time, the Pova painting was not done or started as the normal way the artists are doing nowadays. It has to, the artist, and the patron, and also the priest, they have to follow the very strict discipline in the ancient time, and that's why it was used to keep in the shrine room, and only few people were allowed to worship or view the Pova painting that time. On the basis of the different scripture or the sutras, there are lots of the processes of ritual processes of painting the Pova painting. One process is, actually I have done the 2 paintings following this ritual. So for the starting of this type of painting, firstly I have to go to the priest to get the auspicious day to when to start. We can't start in any normal days. So the priest, he look out all the astrology, and he will give me the date. And a day before, I have to shave the hair, because it is believed that starting any painting, body, speech and mind has to be purified. So cutting or the shaving the hair is a part of purifying the body. And also cut the nail, and family person also has to cut the nail. And then after the next day, we have to perform the very special ritual known as Hasta Puja, and on that day, the priest, he performed the Hasta Puja ceremony, where he preached about the philosophy of the god or goddesses which I am going to paint. And this is how he will purify the speech and mind. And also, it is said that when we do something good, there is always the obstacles will always come on the way, And when we perform that puja, it is believed that the obstacles will also be removed or eradicated. And the colors, the tools, the brush, the canvas, all of these things are also being worshipped. And finally, after the ritual, the priest, he will write the seed symbols, seed syllables of the god or goddesses on the canvas, and then only I can paint. Not that day, but the very next day. I have to wake up early, I have to do the daily rituals, the meditation, and then only I can paint. And I can't paint once I eat something, because in our community or in our religion, it is believed that once we eat something, we are impure. So there are other restrictions also, like I have to go vegetarian, I can't eat the salad, the onion, tomatoes, like this. And they are believed that it's harmful for our health if we go through the scientific way. And also I can't eat with other peoples or even with the family people in the same tables. I have to stay very separate from them. And I have done 2 paintings, which took me around 3 months for each painting. And after the completion also, we again have to do the ritual known as the consecration. And the priest, he invites the god or goddesses through his puja and requests to the deities to reside in the painting. And then it's not only the form of art, it's the god or goddess himself or herself. And then these paintings are kept in the shrine room. And one painting is in my shrine room also, and one is in the Museum of Nepalese Art. So this was the process that the artist used to follow from the ancient time. But after the medieval period of Nepal, the artist has not seems to be followed these rituals, and that's why I feel like this is the foundation of our artworks. And if we really like to preserve this art, we have to preserve this ritual and this process.
Namaste everyone. This time the exhibition is about the 70th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations between China and Nepal. This was jointly organized by Silk Road Cities Alliance, Nepal Academy of Fine Arts, China Cultural Center in Nepal, and the Ambassador of China in Nepal. These paintings, we are pleased to present 60 paintings and calligraphy works by 5 renowned Chinese painters to Nepali audiences.
中国画的特点呢是画家用毛笔、用墨。
Generally speaking, the traditional Chinese paintings draw inspiration from landscapes, figures, and the delicate world of flowers and birds as its central theme. Though graceful brushstroke techniques and subtle sets of inks and pigment, it vividly portrays the natural beauty of green mountains, flowing waters, flowers, birds, insects, and fish.
Normally,
there are 2 types of traditional Chinese paintings. One is focused in the relaxed and expressive freehand style rather than aiming for photographic realism. It relies on bold and economic brushstrokes to capture the spirit and sense of the subject. And another one is the fine brushwork techniques, which is one of the major features of Chinese painting, and it uses precise lines and delicate detail color to present the scenery in the painting.
中国画还有一个特点就是诗、书、画。
Chinese painting is also famous for its integration of poetry, calligraphy, painting, and seal carving. Paintings are generally supplemented with poems, calligraphy, and the painter's signature seal.
都会有题诗，有我们从这些画里边，我们看到
In this exhibition, we can feast our eyes on mountains, rivers, waterfalls, streams, houses, and various animals.
Whether it is Prikuti or Orniku from Nepal, who have helped us a great in spreading the culture of Nepal to all over China, and establishing the diplomatic relation between Nepal and China throughout the centuries. Though Nepal and China is separated by the high Himalayas, also played an important role in our exhibition. As you can see in this exhibition, most of the paintings are based on the Himalayan nature and the culture. So these artworks in this exhibition has helped us to establish the relationship between China and Nepal across the borders. We have altogether 104 paintings in this exhibition, in which we have altogether 60 paintings from China, in which there are 15 artists, and there are altogether 44 paintings of Nepalese artists. Nepal Academy of Fine Art has been working as an umbrella organization for the artists, researchers, and critics since 1930, promoting art, culture through different activities like exhibition, workshops, seminars, research, and trainings. Being one of the organizers, along with China Culture Center and Silk Road Alliance, I hope this exhibition will play a significant role in fostering and enhancing the bond between China and Nepal.
Among Nepal's many glacial lakes, some are at serious risk of bursting. Sudden bursts of these lakes due to the impact of climate change could result in massive loss of lives and property. This issue has already been discussed widely in the international community. Nepal itself has been drawing attention to the condition of these lakes and the harm they could cause. Even then, in the recent years, several glacial lakes of Nepal have already burst, resulting in heavy loss of life and property. Experts warn that this trend could continue to grow and have urged everyone to take preventive action. Just a week ago, in Koike rural municipality of Dolba district of the far western Nepal, flood mixed with derbs buried about 53 houses. Likewise, in mid-April 2025, heavy rainfall and flooding in Srinagar Bazar of Odanjuli municipality in Humla in the northwestern Nepal has caused massive destruction. Continuous rain has also damaged areas in Srinagar and nearby villages in Mugu's Khatiyar rural municipality. Last year, it was confirmed that the flood in Thame River of Solukhumbu in the Khumbu region of the foothills of Mount Everest was caused by glacial lake outbursts. Similarly, the unexpected flood in Rasua along Nepal-China border in the north on July 8, 2025, according to experts, was the result of glacial lake outbursts. Recently, ICIMOD used satellite images and other research to identify 47 glacial lakes that could burst at any time, causing harm to human settlement in Nepal. The study shows that many of these high-risk lakes are located within Koshi River Basin. ICIMOD's General Director, Dr. Pema Gyamso, says that the climate change and rising temperature are the main reasons behind the bursting of these lakes. Gyamso adds that to stop such disasters, there must be strong investment in the early warning systems and emergency preparation.
Collaboration चाहिए, cooperation transboundary. अब हाम्रो 8 वटा देश छ इन्दो-कोशी हिमालयमा, त्यसमा हामीले इन्फर्मेसन एक्सचेन्ज गर्ने, साइन्टिफिक कोअपरेसन, अब त्यसको लागि पनि इन्भेस्टमेन्ट चाहियो, फन्डिङ चाहियो, त्यसको पनि प्रब्लम छ। अनि हामीले अहिले इसिमोड चाहिँ यो पोलिटिकली न्युट्रल भएर हामीले चाहिँ के गर्दैछौँ भने साइन्टिस्टहरू र हाम्रो पोलिसी मेकर्सहरू डिस्कस चाहिँ हुँदैछ, तर हामीले अलिक योभन्दा बेसी कोअपरेसन चाहिँ हुँदैछ, खास चाहिँ कोअर्डिनेसन कोअपरेसन हो। हामीले यो रिसोर्सेस र यो नपुगेर पनि कोअपरेसन छ भने अहिलेभन्दा बेसी हामीले त्यो प्रिभेन्सन गर्न सक्छौँ डिसास्टरहरू।
Out of the 47 risky glacial lakes, 25 are located in China, 21 are inside Nepal, and 1 lies on the Indian side. Even if the lakes in China and India burst, the damage would still reach Nepal's settlement downstream. Records show that glacial lake outbursts have been causing destruction in Nepal for decades. In the past 24 years alone, 26 glacial lake outbursts have been recorded. Among them, 14 occurred inside Nepal itself. Research shows that Lower Boran Lake is one of the lakes posing highest risk that could affect the nearby settlements. Similarly, Chamlang, Inja, Lumding, and Tulangi glacial lakes are also at high risk. If large amount of stored water releases at once, the resulting flood could be even bigger than the recent ones in Roswa. When heavy snow or ice falls onto the glacial lake, it can displace the water, causing sudden floods downstream. Large blocks of ice or rocks sliding onto the lake can push the water out, creating massive flood carrying mud, rocks, and debris. Experts believe that Nepal still needs to do much more to reduce the impact of climate change. They say cooperation in the international community and greater national investment in prevention and protection are both essential.
How rich are you at this moment?
The total market cap when it for the deal was 200 million. Post money is 280 million. And the opening at that opening at $10, it has gone down and is opened at less. So as the share prices move back and forth, it could come down, it could go up, and so forth.
Invoking the eternal, celebrating the divine, a typical Nepali festival that defines indigenous dwellers of Kathmandu Valley, the Neva community. The country celebrates not just gods, but also the divine spark within every soul. In the heart of the Kathmandu Valley, where every courtyard breathes history. The Neva community observes Ma Puja, a ritual devoted to the reverence of one's own being.
प्राणी भएर हामी मनुष्य भएर जन्मिएपछि हामी अब स्वयं आफूले आफ्नो आत्मद्वय नै सबभन्दा ठुलो कुरो हो। त्यो यो आफू नै सर्वश्रेष्ठ हो। त्यसलाई आफूले सम्मान गर्ने एउटा परिपाटी हो। यो म भने भयो, आफू नै भयो, स्वयं भयो, सेल्फ रेस्पेक्ट हो एक किसिमले। यो भन्नाले यसको चाहिँ नि त्यो के इम्पोर्ट महत्त्व चाहिँ धेरै गइरहेको छ यो हामी अरू देवी देवताले जति मान्छौँ त्यो जस्तै नै हामी आफूलाई पनि मान्नुपर्छ यो भने आत्मसम्मान हो यो
Marking the festival of Tihar, family members sit before mandalas drawn with care, their patterns depicting the vastness of the cosmos and the central point symbolizing the self. As oil lamps glow and offerings of grain are placed with quiet devotion, the ritual becomes a meditation on harmony. It's a belief that all divinity does not dwell afar but lives within. The preparation begins with cleaning and decorating the house, symbolizing the removal of negativity. A sacred mandala, a circular design drawn on the floor with colored powders, rice, flowers, and oil lamps is created for each family member. The mandala represents the universe and the individual's connection to the cosmic energy.
मण्डला भनेको संस्कृतको उसमा चाहिँ सर्कल के त्यो गोलाकारलाई चाहिँ जराइन्छ त्यसलाई भन्छ हैन अनि अर्को चाहिँ त्यसले चाहिँ के गर्छ भन्दाखेरि रिप्रेजेन्टेड टु युनिभर्स भन्छ त्यो नेभर एन्डिङ भन्छौ नि हैन सर्कलमा त तपाईको उनै हुँदैन नि त्यो चलिरा हुन्छ त्यसलाई रिप्रेजेन्ट गर्छ मण्डलाले
Family members sit before their respective mandalas as the ritual begins. Each person draws their own mandala, which serves as a spiritual focal point during the ritual. The mandala represents the individual's body, soul, and mind and forms the base for the rest of the offerings. Traditionally, the ritual is performed by families with each member sitting in a meditative pose. They align themselves in a row according to age, with begging with the eldest. This group setting underscores the communal aspect of the ritual, while the meditative posture encourages mindfulness and introspection.
We can celebrate ourselves, that is, we do puja for our body to be healthy, for more healthy for the next coming years. Also we also forget our past deeds or any bad activities or good activities that we have done.
Offerings of sagun or ceremonial offerings comprising boiled egg, fish, meat, lentil cake and rice wine are presented, representing balance and completeness in life. The ritual also includes tika, a mixture of vermilion and rice, placed on the forehead, denoting purity and divine blessing. Fruits, nuts, and sweets are distributed, symbolizing abundance and goodwill, while the rotation of oil lamps around each person wards off evil spirits. The ceremony concludes with prayers for longevity, peace, and self-awareness. Mahapuja is not merely a ritual. It is a profound spiritual act that reminds every individual to respect the self as sacred, to maintain inner balance, and to carry positive energy into the coming year. Mahapuja coincides with the Nevar New Year, Nepal Sambat, marking both renewal and reflection.
पूजा गरिसकेपछि चाहिँ एकदम आनन्द आउँछ, खुसी हुन्छ, खुसी लाग्छ। किनभने सम्पूर्ण सबै परिवारहरू दाजुभाइ आमा बुवाहरूसँग बसेर सबै चाहिँ यो पूजा गर्दाखेरि यसलाई छुट्टै एउटा चाहिँ ऊर्जा र उमङ्ग दिएको चाहिँ मैले महसुस गरेको छु होइन। त्यो कारणले गर्दाखेरि यो पूजाले चाहिँ मलाई चाहिँ कस्तो फिल दिन्छ भन्दाखेरि एउटा चाहिँ एकदम पोजिटिभ होइन, एउटा चाहिँ आउने दिनहरू मैले पनि के गर्न चाहिँ सक्छ, अब म के गर्न सक्छु भन्ने जस्तो एउटा चाहिँ यो पोजिटिभ चाहिँ इनर्जी चाहिँ मलाई दिएको जस्तो मैले अनुभव गरेको छु।
The ritual honors the body as a living embodiment of the 5 elements: earth, water, fire, air and sky, believing each person of their connection to the natural world. In worshipping the self, one reaffirms balance among these elements and begins the year grounded, focused, and in harmony with life itself.
In the high mountains, where the air thins and silence deepens, an ancient discipline endures. More than art, this is meditation in motion. A prayer woven into canvas, finding the divine within. This is Thangka.
Thangka भने चाहिँ त्यो समतल भूमि भने हो के हैन, त्यो स्पेस भने हो। त्यो रेसीमा पनि तपाईले सेतो गणमा स्पेस देख्नु हैन, हो त्यसमा चाहिँ का लेख्ने भने चाहिँ बुद्धको वचन लेख्ने भने हो के। त्यो बुद्धको वचन भएको चाहिँ त्यो चाहिँ शुद्ध छ हैन, राम्रो छ। त्यसले चाहिँ मानव जीवनलाई चाहिँ कल्याण, मानव जीवनलाई मात्र नभएर प्राणी जगतलाई नै चाहिँ कल्याण गर्ने चिज हो थाङ्गा। त्यही भएर चाहिँ जीवन जिउनेसँग चाहिँ रिलेटेड छ भनेर भने हो। त्यो चाहिँ पञ्चतत्त्वको रूपमा चाहिँ त्यो चिनाएर त्यो तत्त्वलाई त्यो ठाउँमा जानुपर्छ भनेरको यो त आशयको रूपमा चाहिँ लगेको हुन्छ।
Thangka painting is more than art. It's devotion on canvas, rooted in Buddha philosophy, traditions, and shaped by centuries of Buddhist influence. Each stroke tells a story of enlightenment.
This is not from painter's own mind. This is from the book. So painters, they have to strictly follow the rules. Through meditation, we can understand our true nature. And when we understand our true nature, we understand everybody. And our true nature is compassion. Our true nature is wisdom. And when we practice these things, we find peace, and that peace is permanent.
Thangka painting is not merely creation. It is consecration, rooted in Buddhist philosophy and perfected through centuries. Each brushstroke carries the weight of a mantra. Each color a fragment of enlightenment.
खाइबो भन्छ हामीले चाहिँ आर्टिस्टलाई। त्यो खाइबाले चाहिँ किन आएर चाहिँ ढोग्यो भन्दाखेरि चाहिँ तीनचोटि ढोग्यो, त्यो शरण गमन गरे हो के। म बुद्धको शरणमा छु भन्यो त्यो चाहिँ बुद्ध चित्त उत्पाद गर्ने भन्छ कि चित्त तपाईँको शुद्ध हुनु पर्यो हैन त्यो शुद्ध भएर लेखेको थाङ्गाले चाहिँ अरूलाई पनि राम्रो गर्ने पनि प्राणी हितको लागि चाहिँ यो मैले गरेको लेखेको बुद्ध वचनले चाहिँ उहाँहरूलाई चाहिँ राम्रो होस् भन्ने आशाका साथ चाहिँ छोड्नुपर्छ कि हो यसरी चाहिँ लेखेको हुन्छ थाङ्गा चाहिँ
The Thanka is a visual scripture, a spiritual map to transcendence. Every artist begins not with imagination, but with surrender to discipline, devotion, and compassion for all living beings. To paint is to meditate. To complete is to awaken. In today's studios, the old and the new converge. Tutors like Sushan Subedi introduce curious travelers to ancient grammar of lines and color.
All of the painting you are seeing over here, so these are known as Thanka, which is a Tibetan word which means the painting that is painted on a cotton surface. Okay, so first of all what we do is, we just take a normal cotton like this and we stretch it on a wooden frame very hardly and very tightly. Okay, so while tying it very hard on normal cotton, what happens is there are millions of tiny holes. So if you pour the color can bleed. So we cannot do the painting on a normal cotton. So we have a process, we call it the process of canvas.
While at nearby workshops, artists like Sonam still lose themselves in the ritual of creation.
यो चाहिँ बम्बईडियन कटन जुन यसैबाट चाहिँ हाम्रो ट्रेडिसनल आर्टको चाहिँ थाङ्का फर्स्ट प्रोसेसिङ चाहिँ यहीँबाट हुन्छ सरेस भन्ने गरिन्छ हामीले यो चाहिँ खासमा र याक स्किन भनेर चाहिँ प्रयोग गरिन्छ पहिलेको त्यो हिस्ट्री हेर्दाखेरि चाहिँ अनि अब यो चाहिँ हाम्रो चाहिँ माध्यम चाहिँ यो ग्लुको काम गर्छ यसले चाहिँ यो र हामीले चाहिँ माटो मिसाएर चाहिँ यसमा पानी लगाएर अब यसको कति मात्रा उ गरेर तताइसकेपछि चाहिँ अनि अब हामीले कत्रो क्यानभस बनाउने कतिवटा बनाउने त्यो हिसाबले हामीले यो सरेस माटो भनिन्छ त्यो मिलाएर मात्र मिलाएर हामीले प्रोसेसिङमा जानु सकिन्छ हामीले चाहिँ यो क्यानभस बनाउँदाखेरि समय अनुसार मौसम अनुसारले पनि बनाउनु पर्ने हुन्छ घाम लाग्ने बेलामा बनाउन सक्यो भने हामीले छिटो आफ्नो कामहरु छिटो छरिदो बनाउन सकिन्छ र झरी पर्ने बेलामा चाहिँ हामीलाई निकै समय लाग्छ त्यसले गर्दाखेरि यो घाम लाग्ने बेलामा हामीले बनाउन सक्यौं भने छिटो अनि यसलाई आफुलाई चाहिने मात्रामा पटक पटक यता दुई साइडमा चाहिँ क्लीन गर्नु सफा गर्नुपर्ने हुन्छ अनि कतिको मात्रा हामीलाई चाहिन्छ त्यो पुगिसकेपछि हामीले त्यसपछि स्केचमा जानुपर्ने हुन्छ यो सुकिसकेपछि चाहिँ एउटा यसरी पनि हामीले चेक गर्न सकिन्छ हामीले कतिको तयारी भयो भएन यो आवाज आउनु पर्ने हुन्छ जस्तै अब ओसिएको छ भने बेग्लै आवाज आउँछ सुकेको छ भने राम्रो आवाज आउँछ यो
Thangka painting begins with the canvas stretched tight, once upon wood, now upon iron frames. The glue that seals it, once drawn from the yak, now sourced from the maple or synthesized in a lab. Yet in the scent of drying paste, the artist still reads the readiness of the soul of the painting.
So after the sketching is done, second thing we do is the coloring. So while coloring, we have different levels of artists in our school. Like from the beginner level, we have intermediate and the master level of artists. So if you go with the beginner intermediate, they use the acrylic colors. But if you go with the master level of artists, so they use the stone colors like this. Okay, so why they use the stone color is stone being a natural color. So while we apply this sort of color on the art, it remains for the longer period of time because natural thing, it doesn't have an expiry date. Yeah? So the meaning and the philosophy of an art, the art itself, it is preserved for the longer period of time. So that's why they use this stone. And for the finishing of an art, so we use 24 karat real gold on a painting. Okay, so why we use the gold is not to make the painting very expensive, but if you see in Hinduism, in Buddhism, gold it is signified as in purity. So to purify the meaning and the philosophy behind the art, so we use 24 karat real gold.
Every line follows a rule, every proportion holds meaning. The face of the deity isn't imagined, it slowly reveals itself, guided by sacred patterns that keep harmony between the world outside and the spirit within. The colors come from the earth, crushed stones and minerals mixed with glue, made to last for generations. Lapis brings purity, malachite speaks of compassion, and cinnabar carries wisdom. These are just colors. They are prayers in pigment.
प्राचीन नेपालमा चाहिँ यो थाङ्गा चाहिँ पाँचवटा कलर लेख्ने हो 5 कलर जस्तो अग्नि तत्त्व वायु तत्त्व माटो तत्त्व हावा तत्त्व 5 तत्त्वले बनाएको हो त्यो 5 तत्त्वले किन बनाएको भने त्यो 5 तत्त्वबाट हाम्रो शरीर बनाएको छ नि यो थाङ्गा भनेको चाहिँ वास्तवमा के हो भने जे जति थाङ्गामा त्यो हामीसँगै छ जे हामीसँग त्यो थाङ्गामै छ त्यसकारण त्यो बेला चाहिँ त्यो नेचुरल हामी पनि नेचुरली बनाएको हो नि त प्राकृतिक बनाएको नि थाङ्गा पनि प्राकृतिक हो त्यसमा अलि अलि चाहिँ कलर के छ भने 5 वटा कलर हामीले मिसाउँदाखेरि अर्को कलर बन्छ त्यो 5 वटा कलर मात्रै पुग्दैन त्यो बेला त्यो रियालिटी थाङ्गाबाट नजिक बसेर साधन गर्दा हाम्रो एकदम भाइब्रेसन आउँछ पोजिटिभ कुरा आउँछ यो त खालि बुद्ध जुन बुद्धले टिकाको टिचिङ गर्नुभएको नेचरल फेनोमेना छ नि नेचर माइन्ड छ त्यसको रियालिटी छ यो
Then comes the awakening, the eyes. Until that moment, the thanga is silent. When the artist paints the peoples, the deity is invited to reside within. The canvas breathes, the prayer begins. From quiet Himalayan ateliers to the galleries in Tokyo, Berlin, and New York, thangas now travel far beyond the monasteries. They adorn homes, museums, and collectors' walls, a global symbol of Nepal's artistic devotion.
And mostly, thanga word itself is a Tibetan word, so this tradition belongs to Tibetan people. This tradition belongs to Tamang. This tradition belongs to Newar community. Although they have different expression of color, technique, the detail, but this tradition, this culture belongs to this three community, and this is kind of passed on tradition. They learn this skill from their forefather to the new generation. This is how this tradition has been continuing and preserving. So it is beneficial for them to live their life, and it is beneficial for the country because this is a culture, and culture and tradition is the treasure of each country.
The trade sustains thousands. From the hum of Bodha's alleys to export crates bound for distant lands, thanga has become a vital thread in Nepal's creative economy. Yet, as markets grow, so does the tension between faith and fame, between meditation and merchandise.
कला चाहिँ दुवै राम्रै हो हैन आफ्नो आफ्नै फिलोसफी भन्ने हो
यसले चाहिँ तपाईँको मनभित्रको डेप्थमा जाने सिकाउने हो। यसमा चाहिँ यो चाहिँ मिहिन काम हुन्छ, कठिन पनि हुन्छ कि, किनभने यसमा चाहिँ तपाईँले चाहिँ अघिको जस्तो धेरै चिजहरू चाहिँ लिनुपर्छ, अनुशासन लिनु पर्यो होइन, यसको विधि विधानमा बसेर गर्नुपर्छ। यसमा चाहिँ अब त्यो चाहिँ तपाईँको मनमा जुन फिलिङ्स आउँछ त्यो लेखिहाल्ने हो कि, त्यो गर्दाखेरि त्यसले पनि वर्ल्डमा चलिरहेछ। यसले चाहिँ नेपालले किन त्यो अब त्यसलाई चाहिँ कम्पिटिसन गर्न सक्छ भने चाहिँ यो चिज चाहिँ अरूले गर्न सक्दैन, किनभने त्यसमा मेडिटेसन ध्यान जस्तै गर्नुपर्छ कि। सरकारी स्कुलबाट चाहिँ स्कुलिङदेखि नै गर्नुपर्छ, यसको पाठ्यक्रमहरू बनाउनुपर्छ होइन। एउटा त्यो गरिसकेपछि यसको प्रमोट हुन्छ होइन। हामीलाई चाहिने त त्यो प्रवर्धन हो नि, तर ब्याङ्किङहरूले पनि के गर्नु पऱ्यो भने यसलाई चाहिँ बिना दिदोमा पनि के अरे ऋण दिने वातावरण होइन, कलाकारको के छुट्याएर कि। अनि तपाईँको हामीले ट्याक्स तिर्नुपर्छ, ट्याक्स तिर्दाखेरि पनि कुनै एउटा चिज चाहिँ कलाकारलाई कुन ओदामा राखेर त्यसको एउटा ब्यालेन्स एउटा गरेर सरकारले गरिदियो भने यसको झन् अझ फ्रस्टिन्छ कि। फ्रस्टिएपछि त यो नेपालकै लागि चाहिँ यसले चाहिँ पर्यटनलाई पनि विकास हुने, अनि त्यो स्कुल कलेजमा भयो भने पुस्ता हस्तान्तरण चाहिँ एकदम दिगो हुन्छ कि।
All the Thanka has same meaning of peace. So foreigner, they admire philosophy. Practitioner also, they choose deities mostly to practice, to visualize, and they imagine the quality of deities with themselves. And some least person, they want it as a souvenir to decorate for the positive vibe. Some they buy it for the gift for their loved one. Philosophy reminds us about the beautiful quality, and that quality gives us peace, and that peace is everyone searching for. So Thanka painting is very, very important for everyone because it is relevant with our life. If it is relevant with our life, that is truth.
But beyond commerce and canvas, a Thanka is still a mirror reflecting a way of life where art and spirit breathe as one. Every brush that moves today carries the echo of generations, an unbroken whisper from monastery walls to the modern world. As the sun sets over the Himalayas, somewhere an artist bows before a finished Thanka. His work is now complete, his prayer released. For in every stroke lies a journey from pigment to prayer, from devotion to eternity. This is not just Nepal's art, it is Nepal's soul, painted into time.
How rich are you at this moment?
The total market cap when it for the deal was 200 million. Post money is 280 million. And the opening at that opening at $10, it has gone down and is opened at less. So as the share prices move back and forth, you know, it could come down, it could go up, and so forth.
clamped and flights cancelled around Simra airport in southern Nepal after clash between youths and UML party activists. MCC approves additional funding of $50 million for Nepal to enhance power system and complete key transmission infrastructure. Nepal and the world mark World Toilet Day, highlighting global sanitation crisis. Kathmandu's busy lifestyle drives surge in eating out, while traditional meals still hold strong. At least 25, including children, killed in Ukraine in one of Russia's deadliest drone and missile strikes on western side. And the Sudur Paschim Royals thrilled with 29-1 victory over Kathmandu Gurkhas in their NPL opener today. I'm Smita Gising Tamang, and this is NTV World News Hour, coming to you live from Kathmandu at 2300 hours. Now the news in detail. Simra Airport in southern Nepal was forced to shut down today as political tensions escalated, prompting authorities to impose a temporary curfew until 8 p.m. The unrest erupted when Gen Z activists protested the planned passage of senior UML leaders, including General Secretary Shankar Pokhrel, through the airport. Clashes broke out as UML youth wing members moved in to counter the demonstration. The curfew affects a 500-meter radius around the airport and key roads, banning all gatherings, rallies and processions. Several flights were cancelled and passengers have been advised to rebook or seek refunds. The UML leaders were en route to a regional youth event in Parwanipur. Nepal and the US government's Millennium Challenge Corporation have announced an additional $50 million grant for the MCC Nepal Compact, bringing the compact's total value to $747 million. Washington will provide $515 million, while Nepal contributes remaining $197 million. Officials say the extra financing will help complete major electricity transmission lines, strengthen Nepal's power system, and expand regional energy trade, seen as crucial for South Asia's growing cross-border power market. The U.S. Embassy in Kathmandu says the compact will also improve grid reliability and open greater opportunities for American companies and energy technologies in Nepal. The initiative reflects what both sides describe as a long-term partnership aimed at boosting economic growth, energy security, and debt-free infrastructure development. Today, the world marks World Toilet Day, highlighting a deepening global sanitation crisis. The UN reports 3.4 billion people still lack safely managed toilets, while climate change, urbanization, and inequality put hygiene systems at risk. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres calls for climate-resilient, low-emission, and accessible future-ready toilets, emphasizing their role in health and dignity. In Nepal, millions of households still lack basic sanitation, from rural Madhesh to Kathmandu's crowded streets. This World Toilet Day, the need for clean, safe and accessible toilets has never been more urgent. In our cover story of the day, we look at the shifting eating culture. Across the globe, busy city lives are changing the way people eat, and Kathmandu is no exception. Office workers now grab meals on the go, dine out after long commutes, or rely on food delivery without leaving their desks. Restaurants are busier than ever, and global-themed dining spots are drawing crowds. Yet, amidst the rush, Nepal's culinary traditions endure. The challenge, experts say, is striking the right balance between fast modern meals and the comforting flavors of home. Stay tuned for more on this. At least 25 people, including 3 children, have been killed in a Russian drone and missile attack on Ternopil, western Ukraine, hitting 2 apartment blocks, officials say. Another 73 people, including 15 children, were wounded. Lviv, Ivano-Frankivsk and northern Kharkiv were also targeted. Ukraine's Air Force says it shot down most of the incoming drones and missiles, though fires and destruction were reported across the affected areas. Sudur-Paschim Royals kicked off the Nepal Premier League with a sensational 29-run win against Kathmandu. Chasing 148, Kathmandu crumbled for 118 as Harmit Singh's explosive 19-ball 50 and Karan Casey's 4 wickets sealed the game. Royals dominated despite a strong start from Kathmandu's bowlers, claiming 2 crucial points. Tomorrow, Lumbini Lions clashed with Chitwan Rhinos in another high-stakes NPL encounter. On this World Toilet Day, the UN warns that billions still lack safe sanitation, and Nepal is no exception. From rural communities to bustling Kathmandu streets, the need for clean, accessible toilets remain urgent. We shall see you back after this break. As World Toilet Day Welcome back. You're watching NTV World News Hour. The world is marking World Toilet Day, but the UN warns that the global sanitation crisis is deepening, with 3.4 billion people still lacking safely managed toilets. This year's theme, Sanitation in a Changing World, highlights how climate pressures, rapid urbanization and widening inequality are putting even basic hygiene systems at risk. UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres says the world must accelerate investment in future-ready toilets that are climate-resilient, low-emission and accessible to all, calling the toilet a mundane marvel essential for public health and human dignity. Established by the World Toilet Organization in 2001 and adopted by the UN in 2013, the day is meant to push governments to treat sanitation as a rights issue, not an afterthought, as the world confronts a rising disease risks in a warming planet. Millions of Nepali households still lack access to basic sanitation, with thousands forced to practice open defecation, a challenge that spans from rural Madhya Pradesh to the crowded streets of Kathmandu. On World Toilet Day, the urgent need for clean, accessible and well-maintained toilets has never been clearer. A quick look.
According to government statistics, out of 6.66 million households nationwide, 301,000 households, about 4.5%, still do not have access to toilets. The situation is especially critical in Madhya Pradesh province, where 139,000 households lack toilets, including 26,833 in the provincial capital Dhanusha and about 12,000 in Bara.
From fields to flush toilets, Nepal's sanitation revolution is a story of grit and persistence. Once a country where only 6% of households had basic toilets, Nepal declared itself open defecation-free in 2019, with over 95% of its population now having access to sanitation facilities. Yet, decades of progress cannot fully erase the lingering grip of old customs. 4.5% of households still defy the toilet and practice open defecation, highlighting that the battle for hygiene is far from over. A report by Regina Rai.
As World Toilet Day is marked with the slogan, "Sanitation in a Changing World," Nepal has a remarkable story to share. The significance of the day roots in its central slogan, "We will always need toilet," since UN officially declared November 19 as World Toilet Day. Nepal was declared open defecation free, ODF, in September 2019, with over 95% of the population having access to basic sanitation facilities. The journey from 1996 saw a remarkable progress from 6% of the population having access to the basic sanitation facilities to 95% in 2019. Nepal's effort for 3 decades was recognized then as one of the top performers globally in improving sanitation coverage. Despite these achievements, key challenges persist, as only 0.5% has been added to the total in the last 6 years.
काठमाडौँ महानगरपालिकासँग यसरी पब्लिकली सर्भिस प्रोभाइड गर्ने गरेको जग्गाको चाहिँ कमी छ। हामीले जानेरी सार्वजनिक रूपमा नागरिकहरूको जम्मा हुने प्रचलन बढी भएको ठाउँमा सामान्यतया र व्यापारिक केन्द्र लगायतका अन्य ठाउँमा जे जस्तो अवस्थामा नागरिकहरू बढी जम्मा हुनुहुन्छ त्यो क्षेत्रमा चाहिँ पब्लिक टोयलेट बनाउने गरेको जग्गा हामीसँग अभाव भएको कारणले गर्दा हामी सहकारीको माध्यमबाट गएको। यता कता हामीलाई पनि गुनासो आउने गरेछ, जहाँ पब्लिकली हामी सर्भिस दिन्छौँ भनेर अर्को बिजनेसको माध्यमको रूपमा चाहिँ सर्भिस दिने प्रयोजनको लागि शौचालय र पार्किङको व्यवस्थापन गरिएको हुन्छ। त्यहाँका शौचालय र पार्किङ चाहिँ ठेक्का लगाइएको छ।
Still, 4.5% of households still defecate in open. Not that they do not have access to toilet, but due to age-old practice and superstition, people prefer open defecation against using closed-door facilities.
उपलब्ध भइरा हुँदैन, समस्या हुन्छ बाहिरको मान्छेलाई हैन, धेरै समस्या आपत्ति नै हुन्छ हैन, के गर्ने कता जाने हैन, धेरै गाह्रो हुन्छ.
Raising public awareness to root out the practice is needed to meet the 2030 target of achieving 100% success. The day is also being observed worldwide, focused on ensuring access to safe and sufficient drinking water, ending the practice of the open defecation and expanding sustainable and hygiene sanitation services. While marking the World Toilet Day, the global data of WHO and UNICEF show 3.4 billion people still lack safely managed sanitation, and 354 million are still compelled to defecate in the open area. Only through collaborative efforts and innovative approaches, Nepal can achieve universal access to safe and dignified sanitation for all.
As urban lifestyles accelerate, and Nepal's food culture is shifting from home-cooked meals to a growing reliance on restaurants and ready-to-eat options. After the break, April Agising Lama explores Kathmandu's evolving dining scene in our cover story. Welcome back. In Kathmandu, busy city life is pulling people out of their kitchens, turning restaurants and food delivery into the new norm. Yet, across Nepal, traditional morning meals like steaming bhakka remind us that old culinary roots still run deep. April Agising Lama explores the bustling culinary hubs of the capital.
It's a regular afternoon here in Kathmandu, and more people are choosing to eat outside rather than at home. And this shift is changing the daily routine in the city.
In cities around the world, busy lifestyle is pushing people out of their kitchens, and Nepal is catching up fast. In Nepal's capital city, Kathmandu, it is the new normal to grab dinner on the go, pick up a quick lunch, or order something before you even leave the office. Restaurants across Kathmandu say evenings have never been busier.
Customer जुन यो एक दशक अगाडिको र अहिलेको फरक छ त्यतिखेर टिनेजरहरु बढी हुन्थ्यो लगभग 15 to 25 को मास बढी हुन्थ्यो अहिले ठ्याक्कै चेन्ज भएको छ अहिलेको माहौल चाहिँ अनि त्यही अनुरूप हामीले यो रेस्टुरेन्टको स्ट्रक्चरहरु पनि यसले रूपान्तरण गर्दै लग्यो के बसे सिट देखि लिएर यहाँको इन्भाइरोमेन्टहरु फुड क्वालिटीहरु रेस्टुरेन्टमा बिहान 10 बजे देखि कस्टमर फ्लो हुन्छ लगभग अहिले यो जाडोको सिजनमा अलिकति कम हुने हो अनि फेरि अब राम्रो जस्तै गर्मी सिजन यता उता त +500 हो खास.
Office workers head straight from traffic to the dinner table, just not the one at home. Nutritionists say the trend looks a lot like other growing cities: long hours, longer commutes, and the comfort of ready-made meals. But they also wave a gentle warning flag about relying too much on fried and fast foods.
Young people are facing high blood pressure, they are facing obesity, they're not exercising as much because they're busy with university and work and trying to balance it all. Just makes it hard for them to eat healthy. I think recently people have been eating out a lot because we live in a very fast-paced environment where people don't have much time to cook. So they rely on fast food a lot. Just try to organize your time better to cook at home. Try to focus on more high-protein meals, a lot of fruit and vegetables. And you can have sweets, just have a very balanced diet.
Meanwhile, global-themed restaurants are booming. At the Hard Rock Cafe Kathmandu, dining feels like less a meal and more like a night out.
In Hard Rock, we provide a very friendly and homely atmosphere here. So it's not like you're just like grooving with the music, like going wild sometimes. So this is the kind of service we have. And about the food itself, yeah. So we are very serious about the food quality here. So we do daily checklists, we do daily inspection of the food and everything, and quality control. So this brings our food to a top-notch quality.
And to make all this even easier, delivery apps have turned eating out into something you can technically do while staying in. However, hundreds of kilometers east, the day begins with something slower, simpler, and steaming. Every morning, people line up for bhakka, a soft, warm rice cake that's been part of daily life for generations. No apps, no menus, just tradition served at sunrise. It's a reminder that while city habits speed ahead, Nepal's food roots still run deep. From Kathmandu's rush hour restaurant to the quiet morning queues for bhakka, Nepal's eating habit is evolving in two directions at once, fast and traditional. And as convenience grows, experts say the real challenge is finding a tasty balance between modern cravings and the comfort of local classics.
The way we eat is changing, but mindful choices can make all the difference. With Samir Thapa on camera, this is April Agising Lama reporting from Kathmandu, Nepal.
Today on Public Pulse, we ask Kathmandu residents, why are more people choosing to eat out instead of cooking at home? Let's have a look.
The main factor would be the accessibility to it, because as the trend has changed from eating at home, cooking by themselves, to just simply hanging out with friends. So what to do when we hang out with friends? Simply eat, have fun.
मेरो बच्चाहरु सानसानो छ के फ्राइडे हुने बित्तिकै बाहिरबाट अर्डर गरौँ बाहिरको खाम भने जस्तो भयो अब घरको एउटै टेस्टले गर्दा होला चेन्ज गरौँ भन्ने सोच अहिले
अहिले चाहिँ यो बाहिर खाना एउटा चाँडोको लागि पनि मान्छे यो फास्ट फुडहरु खान्छ हैन यो स्ट्रीट फुड हो नि यो टाइपको हो त्यही कारणले अनि अलिकति स्वादको लागि पनि घरमा एकै नास्को कति खाने भन्ने हुन्छ त्यो कारणले पनि खान्छ जस्तो लाग्छ मलाई
हामीले चाहिँ आज शपिङ गर्न आएको थियो शपिङ गर्न आएको बेला थकै पनि लायो यो बच्चालाई पनि केही खाऊ भनेर अनि यहाँको खाना मिठो छ त्यही भएर बाहिर खाऊ आज शपिङ गर्न आएको बेलामा भनेर अनि आएको
सधैँभरि एउटै खाना मात्र घरमा भइराख्छ त्यसैले कहिलेकाहीँ चाहिँ अरू कुराहरू पनि खाऊँ भन्ने लाग्छ मान्छेहरूलाई त्यसैले चाहिँ बाहिरको खानामा अलिकति इन्ट्रेस्ट बढेको हो कि सधैँभरि घरको मात्रै कति खानु भनेर जस्तो लाग्छ
फुड क्वालिटीलाई अब त्यो हाइजेनिकहरू राम्रो किचनहरू हाइजेनिक राम्रो हुनु पर्यो फुडहरू राम्रो सर्भिस गर्नु पर्यो त्यही हुन्छ सबैजनालाई
From Kathmandu's busy streets to dinner tables on the go, eating out has become the new normal. But a recent Lancet review warns that the rise of ultra-processed and fast foods isn't just a convenience, it's a global health threat. The study of 92 research reports shows that these foods harm every major organ system, increase obesity, diabetes, heart disease, and even premature death. Experts now call for warning labels, stricter advertising rules for children, and limits on sales in school and hospitals. As Nepal's food habits speed ahead, the challenge is clear: how to balance modern cravings with healthy choices.
Pour les flambis, que c'est pas forcément très bon pour la santé.
In news from Bara today, where political tensions escalated at Simra Airport due to disruptions by Gen Z protesters, leaders including Shankar Pokhrel, Bhanubhakta Dakal and Mahesh Basnet were forced to disembark from their flight departing Kathmandu. Clashes also broke out between protesters and UML supporting youth at the airport. To control the situation, authorities imposed a curfew from 12 noon to 8 p.m, banning all gatherings within 500 meters of Gandak Canal to Pathalaya Road and around the airport. The airport was closed, leading to cancellation of all scheduled flights. Despite the curfew, demonstrations continued, though the situation reportedly stabilized by evening. Both sides have lodged complaints against each other, deepening political tensions in the region. Nepal's Prime Minister Sushila Karge has called on political parties to ensure a free, fair and peaceful parliamentary elections on March 5. At a meeting with representatives of 125 registered parties, PM Karge stressed that credible elections are the cornerstone of democracy and key to resolving political challenges constitutionally. Nepal's interim government, formed in September, is focused on delivering a smooth electoral process. Observers say this election is being closely watched internationally, as a stable democratic transition in Nepal is seen as critical for regional political stability in South Asia. Nepal's government has recommended the issuance of a new ordinance to amend the Constitutional Council Act, a key legal framework that governs appointments to major constitutional bodies. Government spokesperson Jagadish Kharel announced the decision after Tuesday's cabinet meeting, saying the amendment would update the council's duties, powers and operational procedures. In another move, the government has recommended a separate ordinance to amend the Special Services Act, which oversees national intelligence and security agencies.
नेपाल स्टक एक्सचेन्ज लिमिटेडको पुनर्संरचना गर्न आवश्यक अध्ययन गरी सुझाव पेश गर्न प्रकाशजङ थापा काठमाडौँको संयोजकत्वमा नेपाल स्टक एक्सचेन्ज लिमिटेडको पुनर्संरचना सम्बन्धी सुझाव समिति 2082 गठन गर्ने निर्णय भएको छ। विश्व बैंकबाट दिगो र समावेशी परियोजनाका लागि प्रस्ताव गरिएको 95 मिलियन अमेरिकी डलर सहुलियतपूर्ण ऋण प्राप्त गर्ने सम्बन्धमा नेपाल सरकारको तर्फबाट विश्व बैंकसँग वार्ता गर्न अर्थ मन्त्रालयका सहसचिवको नेतृत्वमा वार्ता टोली गठन गर्ने निर्णय भएको छ।
In Nepal, residents near the Banchari Dara landfill have once again blocked garbage trucks from Kathmandu Valley, forcing them to turn back and disrupting the capital's waste disposal system. Locals from Nuwakot and Darving districts say the government has failed to honour an earlier 18-point agreement that promised scientific waste management, nighttime disposal, odor control and measures to prevent toxic leachate from polluting nearby rivers. They had suspended protests in November after assurances from Urban Development Minister Kulman Gising, but claimed those commitments were never implemented. Communities report worsening health conditions and rising infections linked to unmanaged waste. Local government representatives have expressed solidarity with the demonstrations, urging Kathmandu to meet its obligations and restore safe, sustainable waste management. In eastern part of the country, a late-night fire has destroyed 4 homes in Temba Bazaar of Mika Kola rural municipality in Taplejung district. Local officials say the houses, all belonging to members of the Sanwa family, were completely reduced to ashes. Authorities report no casualties, but families have lost all property and belongings, underlining the high vulnerability of rural settlements where firefighting resources are limited and homes are often built closely together. Vice Chair Dandu Lama Sherpa says emergency assessments are underway, while police are still gathering details on how the fire started. The incident once again highlights the wider challenge facing Nepal's remote mountain communities, where disasters can escalate quickly and recovery support is slow to reach. Devotees flocked to Kathmandu's Pashupatinath temple today as Nepal observed Bala Chaturdashi, a sacred Hindu ritual dedicated to honouring ancestors. Many spent the night in vigil, lighting traditional lamps before performing the Shatbiz ceremony, which involves scattering a mixture of grains such as rice, barley, sesame and corn. Ancient belief holds that offering at least 7 types of seeds at sites associated with Lord Shiva aids departed ancestors in attaining spiritual liberation. Experts note that the ritual carries a modern message as well. The variety of seeds highlights biodiversity conservation, connecting communities to nature, cultural heritage and ancestral memory. Bala Chaturdashi celebrations are taking place not only at Pashupatinath but also at major Shiva shrines across Nepal, including Gokarneshwar, Doleshwar, Barahashetra, Devghat, Panchase and even at Pashupati temples abroad. In the rolling hills of western Nepal, the district of Gulmi is offering tourists a new way to experience local culture through homestay programs. Visitors can now enjoy traditional Nepali cuisine, observe local crafts and immerse themselves in the daily lifestyle of the community. The initiative is designed not only to attract tourists but also to boost local income and create employment opportunities. Since the program's launch, the district has seen a noticeable rise in visitors, with families hosting travelers benefiting directly from the influx. Officials say the program helps preserve Gulmi's cultural heritage while providing an authentic experience set against the district's scenic hills and lush landscapes. Tourism experts hope similar initiatives across Nepal will promote sustainable travel that benefits both visitors and local communities. Before looking into the international updates, we take a quick recap of the headliners. Curfew clamped and flights cancelled around Simra Airport in southern Nepal after clash between youths and Euro party activists. MCC approves additional funding of $50 million for Nepal to enhance power system and complete key transmission infrastructure. Nepal and the world mark World Toilet Day, highlighting global sanitation crisis. Kathmandu's busy lifestyle drives surge in eating out while traditional meals still hold strong. At least 25, including children, killed in Ukraine in one of Russia's deadliest drone and missile strikes on the western side. And so the Russian Royals thrill with 29-run victory over Kathmandu Gurkhas in their NPL opener today. At least 25 people have been killed, including 3 children, in a Russian drone and missile attack on the western city of Ternopil that hit 2 blocks of flats, Ukrainian rescue officials say. Another 73 people were wounded, 15 of them children, officials said, in one of the deadliest Russian strikes on western Ukraine since Moscow launched a full-scale war in 2022. 2 other western regions were hit, Lviv and Ivano-Frankivsk, and the drone attack targeted 3 districts of the northern city of Kharkiv, wounding more than 30 people. Photos posted online showed buildings and cars ablaze. Ukraine's Air Force said it had shot down 442 of 476 drones launched by Russia and 41 of 48 missiles that were fired. Of the Russian missiles hit, 10 were Russian cruise missiles downed by Ukrainian F-16 and Mirage 2000 jets, the Air Force said. But Ukraine's air defenses are stretched. Russia's defense ministry has released images it says show fragments of US-supplied ATACMS missiles, claiming 4 were intercepted over the city of Voronezh, less than 200 kilometers from the Ukrainian border. The ministry also said 2 Ukrainian MLRS launches were destroyed in retaliation in the Kharkiv region. Ukraine's general staff confirmed it carried out ATACMS strikes on Russian military targets but did not disclose locations. AFP has not independently verified the images or the claims. The developments mark one of the rare public confirmations of long-range missile use in the conflict, raising tensions along the Russia-Ukraine front lines. Poland has announced it will close the Russian consulate in the northern port city of Gdansk, escalating tensions between Warsaw and Moscow. The move follows accusations that Russian agents orchestrated sabotage on a key Lublin-Warsaw train line earlier this week. Foreign Minister Radoslaw Sikorski called the incident an act of state terror, while Moscow denied the claims and accused Poland of Russophobia. In response, Russia has vowed to reduce Poland's diplomatic presence across its territory. Relations between the two countries have been tense since Russia's invasion of Ukraine in 2022, with Poland hosting hundreds of thousands of refugees and acting as a major corridor for Western arms to Kiev. Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman received a lavish welcome at the White House on Tuesday with full ceremonial honors, including marching bands, mounted flag bearers, and a military flyover. US President Donald Trump greeted the Crown Prince in the South Portico before the 2 leaders spoke to journalists in the Oval Office. The discussions focused on expanding business ties, boosting investments in technology and artificial intelligence, and supporting broader regional peace efforts. The visit also produced key announcements strengthening defense cooperation, highlighting the strategic importance both Washington and Riyadh place on their long-standing partnership.
You don't have to embarrass our guest by asking a question like that.
I'm with ABC News, sir.
You're with who?
ABC News, sir.
Fake news. ABC fake news. One of the worst in the business. But I'll answer your question. You're with who?
ABC News, sir.
Fake news. ABC fake news.
But the question is legitimate,
one of the worst
sir.
in the business. But I'll answer your question.
Thank you.
It's not about me, Mr. President.
US President Donald Trump has announced that Saudi Arabia will be designated a major non-NATO ally, highlighting deepening military cooperation between Washington and Riyadh. The announcement came as Trump hosted Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman for a gala dinner at the White House. This designation takes our military cooperation to even greater heights, Trump said, noting that the status is of a significant importance to Saudi Arabia. Analysts say the move underscores the strategic partnership between the two nations and reinforces defense ties amid ongoing regional tensions in the Middle East.
Our military cooperation to even greater heights by formally designating Saudi Arabia as a major non-NATO ally, which is something that is very important to them. And I'm just telling you now for the first time because I wanted to keep a little secret for tonight.
US President Donald Trump has suggested that the United States and Iran will end up probably reaching a deal, speaking at a White House dinner with Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. Quote, they'd like very much to make a deal with us and they call us and we'll end up probably doing that. That's Iran, Trump said, signaling potential progress in US-Iran negotiations. Analysts say the comments come amid ongoing regional tensions and a backdrop of strengthened US-Saudi relations, highlighting Washington's simultaneous diplomatic engagement with Gulf allies in Tehran.
Obliterating a very serious nuclear threat, which would have taken place in about a month from that date. They were ready to go.
To develop the relation deeper in many areas, and we're going to work on it. We believe the opportunities is huge.
Lined up ahead are the biz updates. For now, a short break.
China and Russia signaled plans to further expand economic cooperation as Chinese Premier Li Qiang met Russian Prime Minister Mikhail Mishustin in Moscow on Monday, ahead of a major regional summit. Li, in the Russian capital for the 24th meeting of the Council of Heads of Government of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization (SCO), said Beijing is prepared to strengthen collaboration with Moscow in key sectors including investment, energy and agriculture. He noted that China is ready to increase imports of high-quality Russian agriculture and food products and called on Russia to provide greater support and market access for Chinese companies operating in the country. The two leaders reviewed progress across existing bilateral projects and reaffirmed alignment with the strategic direction set by Presidents Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin. China has rejected claims by the UK's MI5 intelligence service that the Beijing attempted to recruit British lawmakers as spies. Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Mao Ning called the allegations as baseless conjecture. Meanwhile, China is reportedly planning to suspend imports of Japanese seafood, escalating a diplomatic spat over recent remarks on Taiwan. Analysts say the tensions highlight growing friction in Beijing's relations with both Tokyo and London, as the global spotlight remains on Chinese influence and regional security issues. Global markets were mixed on Wednesday as investors turned their attention to NVIDIA's highly anticipated quarterly earnings, viewed as a major indicator of momentum in the fast-growing artificial intelligence sector. U.S. stocks futures were slightly higher early on Wednesday, with S&P 500 futures up to 0.3%, the Dow edging up to 0.1%, and the Nasdaq futures rising 0.4%. NVIDIA shares gained about 2% in pre-market trading as investors awaited the chipmaker's earnings report due after the closing bell. Target fell 1.9% after reporting a sharp drop in third-quarter profit and warning that its sales slump may extend through the holiday season. Bitcoin hovered just above $91,000 after earlier dipping below $90,000, while gold ticked higher as risk sentiment weakened. The S&P 500 has fallen 4 straight days, its longest losing streak since August, while the Nasdaq has dropped in 5 of the past 6 sessions. UK Music has welcomed reports that the British government plans to limit markups on resold concert tickets, calling the move a major win for fans facing soaring secondary market prices. Media reports suggest the government will introduce caps on resale prices to curb professional touts who buy tickets in bulk and resell them at steep premiums. UK's music policy and campaigns manager Dowgie Brown said touts have been taking money out of the hands of fans for far too long. The industry body has long pushed for stronger consumer protections as frustration over skyrocketing resale costs grow. If enacted, the measures would represent one of the UK's government's most significant efforts yet to regulate the secondary ticketing market.
Time now for the sports update. Sudur-Paschim Royals began their Nepal Premier League campaign with a thrilling 29-run win over Kathmandu Gurkhas today. Chasing 148, Kathmandu was bowled out for 118 in 16.5 hours. Harmeet Singh started with a game-changing spell, taking crucial wickets and scoring an explosive 19-ball 50. Royals had earlier set the target, finishing 147 all out in 20 hours, despite a strong start from Kathmandu's bowlers. Kathmandu's middle order fight back fell short as Sudur-Paschim's bowlers, led by Karan Casey, tightened the screws in the final overs. With this win, Royals claim 2 points, while Kathmandu also has 2 from their 2 games. Tomorrow, Lumbini Lions face Chitwan Rhinos in another exciting NPL clash. As the Nepal Premier League brings cricket fever to the nation, the Ministry of Youth and Sports is ensuring fans can celebrate safely. Minister Bablu Gupta has launched a free bus service for women, children and differently abled spectators returning from matches. Supported by travel agencies, buses run from 6 to 8 p.m. on multiple city routes, including Swayambhu, Balaju and Baneshwar. Football fans witnessed a historic night of World Cup qualifiers as Curacao, Haiti and Panama secured their spots for the 2026 FIFA World Cup, while Scotland ended a 26-year wait to return to the global stage. Curacao became the smallest nation by population ever to reach a World Cup after a 0-0 draw with Jamaica, finishing unbeaten at the top of Group B. Haiti and Panama also confirmed their places, marking a strong showing for CONCACAF teams. In Europe, Scotland defeated Denmark 4-2 at Hampden Park in Glasgow, with a late long-range goal sealing their first World Cup qualification since 1998. Fans across the country celebrated as the team prepares to learn its group opponents on 5 December. The 2026 tournament will be jointly hosted by Canada, Mexico and the United States. Now the weather details, first for Nepal and then from across the world. And before we wind up, let's take a quick look at the reminder of our top stories. Curfew clamped and flights cancelled around Simra Airport in southern Nepal after clash between youths and Union Party activists. MCC approves additional funding of $50 million for Nepal to enhance power system and complete key transmission infrastructure. Nepal and the World marks World Toilet Day, highlighting global sanitation crisis. Kathmandu's busy lifestyle drives surge in eating out while traditional meals still hold strong. At least 25, including children, killed in Ukraine in one of Russia's deadliest drone and missile strikes on the western side. And Sudan Pashchim Royals thrill with a 29-run victory over Kathmandu Gurkhas in their MPL opener today. That's it for this edition of NTV World News Hour. Do join us on our social media. You can also get the latest updates from our website, nepaltelevision.com. I'm Smithugi saying Tamang. Thank you for joining us. Have a wonderful evening ahead.